Good afternoon and welcome, or good evening, or good morning, depending where you are across the world. Welcome to the Commentary Hub's coverage of the Premier League encounter. Is Nottingham Forest, who take on Arsenal this evening. I'm your host, Russ Vernon, for this game, alternative host for this game, and I've got two brilliant of our commentary team standing by to provide us with all the commentary this evening. We've got Bruno Winter, but first, to give us the all-important team news, it's Paul James, your match commentator. Paul.
Thank you, Ross. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. It's a very clear night at the City Ground tonight. Well, the team news today, there's some big news for Nottingham Forest. They make 3 changes. Nuno Tavares is out totally because he can't play against his parent club, of course. So Harry Toffolo steps in for him. Ryan Yates is dropped to the bench and Nico Williams comes in an attacking midfield role. Callum Hudson-Odoi is on the bench, and Morgan Gibbs-White is back from injury and will wear the captain's armband tonight. Taiwo Awoniyi is also back on the bench, which is huge news for the Reds today. For Arsenal, well, they make 2 changes. One of them quite surprising, I must say. Kai Havertz drops to the bench and Emile Smith-Rowe steps in. Leandro Trossard is out and Gabriel Martinelli starts today following his 2 goals against Crystal Palace in injury time. So that's your team news, Ross.
Thank you very much there, Paul. We'll be back with Paul and the head of kickoff for this one. Just joining us right now is the co-commentator for this game today, Bruno Winter, is with us. And Bruno, this should be a good match today. Nottingham Forest taking on Arsenal in the Premier League Arcus 7. One of the few matches taking place this evening is a big game down at the City Ground tonight at both ends of the table. Arsenal looking to close the gap on Liverpool to just 2 points as they sit in third going into this game. As for Nottingham Forest, they look to pull themselves away from the drop zone. They currently sit 4 points above the drop zone. They'll be looking to pull themselves 7 points clear of the drop zone with a victory tonight. How do you see this game going, Bruno? Do you think Forest can get the win, or are you looking more likely to see Arsenal victory tonight, in your opinion? Where are you going for this one, Bruno?
Well, I think it's a very difficult game for Arsenal. I think everyone remembers last season this fixture was a key fixture in the season. It both saved Nottingham Forest and lost Arsenal the title. And we know that Nuno Espirito Santo, the Nottingham Forest manager, he was notorious at Wolves for making it really tough for away teams, the big sides, to go and get points at Molineux at the time. And I'm sure that he'll be thinking that the same at the City Ground.
Yes, and when you look at some of the players that Paul mentioned in this Nottingham Forest, who will come in for Nottingham Forest tonight, some of the players who are starting for Nottingham Forest with Gibbs-White captaining the side as well tonight. I won't go through the full sides for Forest. With Gibbs-White captain in the side, and he been in impressive form of late as well, especially playing well in the league, scoring a goal against Manchester United to win them 2-1 back in the league, going assist against Bournemouth when they lost 3-2 in that game. So in the last 3 Premier League games, a goal and assist for him in the last 3 matches in the Premier League. He's a key player for Nottingham Forest in this game tonight, isn't he, Morgan Gibbs-White? Do you see him as a standout player for Forest?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he is, especially since Brennan Johnson's departure in the summer. Gibbs-White has really stepped up to the plate. I know Forest have struggled a bit this season, but he's really been the bright spark in that side, and he can cause Arsenal problems. He's certainly a top player, and I'm sure that there are a lot of clubs circling around him, especially seeing as Nottingham Forest might be pulled into a relegation battle.
Yeah, so just quickly switching our attentions to the other end of the table in Arsenal now. They're made a few changes. Surprisingly, as Paul rightly said, because I was surprised when I heard this, Kai Havertz drops to the bench with Emile Smith-Rowe coming into the side. I'm not surprised with Trossard dropping out for Gabriel Martinelli coming into the side, but with Havertz dropping out and Smith-Rowe coming in, are you surprised with that as well? Or was that one you was probably say you'd expect?
Well, I wouldn't expect, but I haven't really had much of a look in this season. Kai Havertz has been preferred in that role, the big money summer signing. But it's a good chance for Emil Smith Rowe to get some minutes in the tank. He hasn't had too much game time this season, but we know that he is a quality player and he has good traits that can help win games for this Arsenal side.
Yes, absolutely, Bruno. There's some other games taking place tonight. We'll be back with Bruno and Paul in plenty of time for kickoff, which is at 7:30 this evening UK time for those listening to the coverage tonight. We've also, in the Premier League, we've also got Fulham against Everton, Luton against Brighton, Crystal Palace against Sheffield United, and Aston Villa against Newcastle United. A couple of games in the Championship, Coventry City against Bristol City, and Leicester City against Swansea City. Tonight, Leicester hoping to extend their lead at the top of the Championship as they look to return to the Premier League at the first time of asking. There's a game in League One tonight. Oxford United are taking on Portsmouth. Well, there's one game in League Two, which sees Sutton take on Harrogate. And there's a couple of games in the National League as well. Solihull Moors against Eglinton Redbridge and Wealdstone versus Aldershot. We'll keep you up to date with all of the Premier League action as it happens, as the goals go in. Just to tell you about earlier on this afternoon in the African Cup of Nations, Burkina Faso's run in the AFCON comes to an end after Mali beat them by 2-1 this afternoon. The 8 o'clock kickoff in the African Cup of Nations game is Morocco against South Africa this evening, and that one is one to look forward to, and we'll keep you up to date with that at half time as well. There is some EFL Trophy action happening tonight as well, which I can tell you there's Bolton against away to Blackpool this evening, and after 24 minutes in that game, it's currently Blackpool 0, Bolton 0. Two games at 7:30 is Bradford City against Doncaster Rovers, a local derby there. The Yorkshire derby there is the Lancashire derby at Bloomfield Road between Blackpool and Bolton. And then there is Peterborough United against AFC Wimbledon. Both the game at Valley Parade and at the Abax Stadium, the home of Peterborough United, or the Western Home Stadium as it's known for sponsorship purposes, is also our 7:30 kickoff. So we'll keep you up to date with that, with those games at half time and full time of our featured game, which also is at 7:30 kickoff. So we'll keep you up to date with those actions a little bit later on this evening. Coming up on the channel over the next couple of days or so, just to tell you what we've got coming up on Thursday evening, we delve into the transfer deadline day special stream that we normally do. But on Thursday evening, we'll be having two games from the Premier League covered for you. We've updates during our transfer deadline day special from the Premier League. Luke Turton, our good friend, will be keeping an eye over West Ham United against Bournemouth. While the main man on commentary this evening, Paul James, will be the man keeping an eye on all the things that go off at Wolves against Manchester United from Molineux. So we'll have those updates during our transfer deadline day special show, which will take place on Thursday evening. Right then, we're going to get back to looking ahead to this game with some predictions from our commentary team. Well, one of our commentary teams has received some of the Arsenal players there. Robert Pires, Kevin Campbell stood pitch side. He played for both, and Wes Morgan there, who's played for Nottingham Forest, is stood pitch side as well. Some former players from Nottingham Forest, their pitch side, just waving to the fans as they get their names read out. Some good former players in there from both teams as we see shots of the fans on my monitor as we build up to kick off in this game. The teams are getting ready to come out of the tunnel any second now. So without further ado, let me just quickly get some score predictions for this game. And Bruno, what is your score prediction for this game this evening? Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. Can Arsenal close the gap on Liverpool at the top of the table, or will Forest get their points to climb away from the bottom of the table? appears to be having a few technical difficulties there. Is Bruno will hopefully try and get those resolved as soon as possible. But Paul, the kickoff is fast approaching for kickoff. Same question I'm going to ask to you. You don't need to give me a score prediction, but do you think Forest can get 3 points move away from the relegation zone, or do you think Arsenal will be too strong for them tonight, in your opinion?
Well, Arsenal have to win if they want to stay in the Championship hunt. For Nottingham Forest, well, they've been a bit of a stick in the mud for Arsenal. They haven't won at the City Ground since 1999. I do think Arsenal can get the job done.
Yes, they could get the... I think Arsenal could get the job done as well. We should have Bruno with us now. And Bruno, do you think Arsenal could get all 3 points in this one and move close to Liverpool? Or do you think Forest could get something out of this game and move them, try and drag them away from the relegation zone, in your opinion?
I think that eventually Arsenal will win, but it certainly won't be an easy game. I see a fairly low scoring, sort of maybe a 2-1 Arsenal win.
Bruno's going for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I think Arsenal win and keep a clean sheet. So I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal win tonight. Paul doesn't give predictions when he's on main commentary. So without further ado, let me hand over to your match commentary team. It's Bruno Winter, but first, Paul James.
Thank you, Ross, and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from. A huge game for Arsenal today. They definitely need to get the point, all three of them really, or time may begin to run out for the Gunners in the hunt for the Championship. Nottingham Forest, well, they may have their eye over their shoulder, so Everton, of course, have their appeal in the next couple of days. We're going to find out in February exactly what the results of that appeal is. Let's take a look at the starting lineup, starting with Nottingham Forest, who are managed by Nuno Espirito Santo. Starting with the goalkeeper, Matt Turner, the back four, Harry Toffolo, Murillo, Andrew Omobamidele and Gonzalo Montiel. The two holding midfielders are Oro Mangala and Danilo. The attacking midfielders are Nico Williams, Morgan Gibbs-White back after injury, wearing the captain's armband today, and Nicolas Dominguez, and Chris Wood is holding the line up front. For Arsenal, who are of course managed by Mikel Arteta, put paid to any rumours surrounding his future at the Emirates in a press conference this week. They start with David Raya in goal, Alexander Zinchenko, Gabriel, William Saliba and Ben White are the back four. Emil Smith-Rowe, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, the captain as usual. And the front three are Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus and Bukayo Saka. The substitutes for Nottingham Forest are two goalkeepers, Wayne Hennessy and Odysseus Lacademos, with Joe Worrell, Felipe, Ryan Yates, Brandon Aguilera. Taiwo Awoniyi, of course, welcome back for the Reds. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Anthony Alanga, top-heavy front line there for Forest. For Arsenal, Aaron Ramsdale, Jacob Kiwior, Cedric Suarez, still waiting for his first appearance in the Premier League this season, Raul Walters, Jorginho, Kai Havertz, Eddie Nketiah, Leandro Trossard and Reece Nelson. Our referee today is Simon Hooper. He's aged 41 from Swindon in Wiltshire. Premier League official was promoted to Group 1 referees in 2018. He has yet to officiate in a Nottingham Forest game this season, but Simon has officiated in one Arsenal game this season, a 1-0 victory over Everton at Goodison Park. And he's joined on the lines by Adrian Holmes and Simon Long, and the fourth official is Graham Scott, and inside VAR at Stockley Park is Jared Gillett and Richard West. As the referee now just awaiting to get this game underway. This is the 105th meeting between the two clubs. Nottingham Forest have won 29, Arsenal has won 53, and there has been 22 draws. As we are about to get the game underway with Arsenal in their changed shirts of yellow with the black stripes, black shorts and yellow socks, attacking the Trent end, which is the goal to our left. Nottingham Forest in their red shirts, white shorts and red socks. And Bruno, this is going to be a challenge for Arsenal today. As you mentioned earlier, you said it wasn't going to be an easy game. Not having won here since 1999, this is a huge game for Arsenal in the title race, but also one for Nottingham Forest too.
It is absolutely, yeah. Arsenal at this stage of last season were well on top of the Premier League and looked maybe to be cruising towards the title before a few slip-ups, including at the City Ground to give Manchester City the title. And for Forest, it's once again battling for for survival. They've changed managers this time. They didn't last season. And Nuno, after a bit of a decent start, a good bounce with results against Newcastle, Man United. They had a difficult loss at Brentford in the Ivan Toney return game in their last Premier League outing, and I think they could be looking to get a point here.
Well, Arsenal just pick up the ball there with Gabriel Jesus. He drops it back into the middle to Declan Rice. Declan Rice just plays it alongside there to Ben White, and down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. He's got two Forest players around him. One of them is Dominguez, and he drops it back to Ben White, and he sends it back into his own half to Saliba. Saliba gives the ball back to Declan Rice. And here's Gabriel now, just over the halfway line for Arsenal. He's in an advanced position. He gives the ball to Declan Rice. Declan Rice plays it to Martin Odegaard. He's got Bukayo Saka alongside him. He finds Saka 25 yards out. Gives it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko drops it down to Jesus. He's just down that left-hand side now. Jesus pulling into the middle. He plays the ball forward looking for Saka again. He puts the ball up on the rebound. And it's just cleared away there, but only as far really as Gabriel. Gabriel finds Zinchenko. Zinchenko drops it back to Gabriel, and Gabriel gives it to William Saliba. Saliba, just inside his own half of the field, gives the ball to Zinchenko. Often in that advanced position down the left-hand side. Here he is now, Zinchenko. Plays the ball across to Ben White. Ben White now, just over the halfway line, looking for options available. It's a patient build-up by Arsenal, just knocking the ball around in the midfield. It's given to Gabriel. He plays it down the left-hand side to Gabriel Jesus. He seems to be starting down the left-hand side here in this first half, which is somewhat very surprising. And here's Saliba. Saliba inside the centre circle. Forest lining up with a very strong defensive approach. And it's down the left-hand side once again to Gabriel Jesus. He gives the ball back to Gabriel's namesake and back to Jesus again. Jesus down the left-hand side. He's cutting across into the middle now. He tries to lift the ball over the top there to Emile Smith-Rowe. And it's headed out by Montiel, but only as far as Gabriel Jesus again gets to the byline. Down the left-hand side, he's trying to get the cross in, but he only finds Omobamidele, and that ball is cleared away this time and picked up by Nico Williams, who is alleged to have been fouled by Martin Odegaard. So, really positive start for Arsenal, Bruno.
Yeah, Arsenal dominating the ball early on and getting it to Gabriel Jesus starting on the left wing, as you mentioned, a bit of an odd position, him changing with his namesake Gabriel Martinelli. But it's interesting, a tactical tweak maybe from Mikel Arteta. He's spotted something in that Nottingham Forest defence, which he thinks that Gabriel Jesus is more suited to the left wing.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's Mangala now for Forest. He's just turned it. He slips on the ball. And here's Declan Rice now. He gives it to Odegaard. Edge of the area, slip through to Smith-Rowe, but it's just a bit too much power on that. He almost got Smith-Rowe behind the Forest defence there. Right idea by Declan Rice.
Yeah, and it's a Forest mistake. They're not going to get away with too many more of those. A slip from Mangala, and Arsenal just as quick as a flash. And Martin Odegaard with an overhead pass, really, which you don't see too often from him, but a lucky escape there for Forest.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here's Chris Wood. He picks up the ball now and drops it back to Montiel. Montiel knocks the ball back there. Omobamidele leaves it for Matt Turner, and he clears it downfield. Long ball there. Wood heads the ball down to Nico Williams. Williams dropped back to Danilo, and Danilo just drops it back to Omobamidele. Plays across to his central defensive partner, Murillo. Murillo plays the ball forward, and now Orel Mangala just drops it back again to Murillo. And it's back with Matt Turner. We've got 5 minutes gone here, and it's Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 0. The ball played forward there, looking for Montiel, the World Cup winner. Montiel heads it up in the air now. Morgan Gibbs-White picks it up. He just runs into Dominguez there, but now Dominguez coming forward for Forest. He was looking for Chris Wood, but it was just behind him. And it's now picked up by Bukayo Saka, who drops it back to the goalkeeper, David Raya. And Raya plays it to Gabriel now. Gabriel forward to Gabriel Martinelli, very deep at the moment in his own half of the field. The ball is played forward there by Gabriel. Chasing that one is Jesus. Jesus, is he able to keep that ball in play? Yes, he was. Danilo just drops the ball. Actually, I don't think he was. No, it is in fact a throw-in. So Forest having their first break, and again, the ball nearly found Chris Wood there, who's on form right now.
Yeah, and I think he's the target man, especially since Owani's injury. he's back on the bench now, but Chris Wood has been the focal point for Nottingham Forest. A hat-trick at St James's Park fairly recently in the league, and he'll be hoping to add to that tally tonight and really try and bully his way through the centre halves.
Yeah, 9 goals this season for Chris Wood so far. That's very impressive. He's not had form like that since he was at Burnley. And here's Jesus. He just drops the ball back there to Gabriel. Zinchenko, just inside the centre circle in the Forest half of the field. He plays it down the right-hand side to Ben White, who gives it to Bukayo Saka. Oh, it's a disappointing pass by Saka. Gives it away to Gibbs White. Now Gibbs White storming over the halfway line to Nico Williams. Williams back to Gibbs White. Gibbs White moving to the centre of the field, midway inside the Arsenal half of the field. Here's all Mangala. Gives the ball to Dominguez. That's a nice ball out on the far side then. It's now back with Mangala. Forest patient build up themselves now. Here's Danilo. Forest just looking to keep a hold of the ball, get comfortable in possession. Danilo now plays the ball forward to Wood. Wood just drops it all the way back there to the number 32, Omobamidele. And he drops it back to Danilo. Danilo, that's a long, streaking ball. Oh, that's a good interception by Ben White. Well played. And here's Bukayo Saka now storming down the right-hand side. An inspired run by the England international. Here's Bukayo Saka. Flips the ball to Martin Odegaard. Good ball. He gives it to Zinchenko. About 25 yards out here, Zinchenko. He plays the ball down the left. Gabriel Martinelli back down the left now. Plays the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko swings it in. It's headed away by Omobamidele. Comes back into him. It's hooked away again. And just flicked on there and only finds William Saliba. And Saliba gives the ball there to Odegaard. He gets the ball back to Martin Odegaard, about midway inside the Forest half of the field. He gives the ball to Ben White. Ben White back to Odegaard. And he drops the ball there back to William Saliba now. Saliba gives the ball to Declan Rice. Declan Rice to Ben White now, down the right-hand side again. He gets foot. Both Zinchenko and White love to get forward. And here's Bukayo Saka. To Ben White, and to Jesus, he one touches it to Ben White. This is good build-up play by Arsenal, and it's Saliba again. Saliba down to Declan Rice, to Martin Odegaard, to Gabriel now inside the centre circle, plays it down the left-hand side to Alexander Zinchenko, and it's dropped back there to Emil Smith-Rowe. And again, finds Zinchenko. Smith-Rowe. This is really good build-up by Arsenal. Keeping possession. Pressing Nottingham Forest back. And here's Ben White. Back to Saliba. Saliba to Gabriel. Lays the ball down the left-hand side to Zinchenko. Lays it off to Martinelli. Martinelli drops the ball again there. And there's Saliba. Gives it to White. And White plays it down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. And he's got Toffolo in front of him, and it's a poor ball by Saka. But Arsenal win the ball back, and it's Saka again. Can he get the cross in? And it looked like it just came off Murillo, and finally hooked away by his Brazilian compatriot Danilo, out of play for a throw into Arsenal. Good build-up that time, though.
Yeah, Arsenal now building up a little bit of pressure. But Nottingham Forest have got really good defensive shape and structure. We know that Nuno Espirito Santo, he's known for that. His Wolves sides are always very tough to break down, and so far Forest are proving that.
Emil Smith-Rowe drops it back to Alexander Zinchenko. As Arsenal maintain possession here. Definitely dominating the early player Arsenal with the possession. They haven't created anything yet, but it's still early days. 10 minutes gone at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 0. Here's Bukayo Saka down the right-hand side, corner of the penalty area. Can he get the cross in? And that's good work by the defender, Harry Toffolo, and it will be the first corner of the game to Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka will get his first chance to swing the ball in there. As Matt Turner now looking to control his penalty area a little bit. Eyes are on him. He's come under some criticism recently, the former Arsenal backup. And Bukayo Saka now has got Smith-Rowe in there, Saliba, Gabriel, Martinelli. And Forest are going to have to defend tightly here as Bukayo Saka is going to swing this one in. It's swung in here by Saka towards the 6-yard box. It's punched out by Turner, helped along its way by Danilo. Cleared it all the way back to the centre circle, and it's picked up by Declan Rice. Declan Rice, I don't know if you agree with this, Bruno, but I think Declan Rice has been a large reason for Arsenal's success this season. He really has been fantastic with the passing. I mean, he has literally made over 1,000 passes with a 91% accuracy rating. It's incredible, and England must be rubbing their hands for him in the European Championships.
Absolutely, he's a player that I've gotten to know fairly well over watching quite a few West Ham games the last few years, and he really is just a world-class player, certainly in the position, one of the very best. And yeah, England are lucky to have him, unless you partner him in the midfield with Jude Bellingham and maybe a Phil Foden or someone of that type, and the England midfield is looking very promising.
It is Ben White. Ben White launches the ball into the penalty area and headed out there by Toffolo. Toffolo, it finds Dominguez, and then Dominguez gives the ball back to Toffolo, but it's played to Mangala now. Mangala, it's a nice pass there. Well, he was looking really for Dominguez there, but wasn't able to find him, and the ball has gone out of play. And there's Chris Wood. 9 goals this season for Chris Wood. He's definitely been the most efficient striker for Forest this season. He used to really, when he was at Burnley, he used to get caught offside a lot. Well, he's only been twice offside this season, which is really, really impressive. And given the amount of games he's played and his production, he's done very, very well this season as Chris Wood really returned to form. Here's Declan Rice, and he gives the ball to Ben White. Ben White plays the ball to Bukayo Saka. Saka's got Toffolo in front of him again. He's helped out by Dominguez. The ball is dropped back to White, and it finds Jesus, and it pulls right back to Odegaard with a shot, and it's blocked by Danilo. An important piece of defensive work as a first effort on goal in anger by Arsenal. And here's Odegaard again, who backheels it to White. Odegaard gets the ball back again. And, well, that's a good interception and cleared away by Murillo, but only as far as William Saliba. And this is all Arsenal early on here. We've got 13 minutes gone, and they are piling the pressure on this Nottingham Forest defence. So I have to say, Bruno, has been really outstanding in the first 13 minutes of this game. I hope I haven't placed a curse on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Forest's shape has been really good so far. Arsenal sort of getting in and around the 18-yard box, but just not able to find that last penetrating pass or cross. But you just feel the longer the game goes on, one lapse in concentration.
Here's Emil Smith-Rowe. He plays the ball across. And it takes a deflection. I'm sorry, Bruno. I'll come back to your point in a moment. But Emil Smith-Rowe just got inside the defence there and got a shot away. We'll just look at that again. It's played by Zinchenko to Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe gets a shot away. It actually may have come off Jesus in the end, as well as Murillo. Let's just take a look. I actually think that may have come off Murillo. We'll just see what... It is a corner to Arsenal. And we will go back to your point in a moment, Bruno. I am sorry. It was a very close chance. Here's Declan Rice. And he's going to take this corner down the left-hand side. And he's going to swing this one in, as Odegaard is perhaps trying to tempt him into a short one. But Declan, he does play the short one to Martin Odegaard. Back to Declan Rice. Plays the ball across to the 18-yard box there to Saka with a shot, which is beautifully blocked there by Nico Williams. And here's Zinchenko again. And he plays the ball down the right-hand side to Emil Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe cutting into the middle of the park now. He's got a bit of space. He finds Odegaard. Odegaard back to Saka. Saka waits. He's in the penalty area. Saka down the right-hand side. That's a good block by Olo Mangala, but it does break loose. The cross is into Gabriel, and Gabriel is not able to direct his header, and it's plucked out of the air by Matt Turner. Sorry, Bruno. Please return to your point.
Well, I was just saying that it looked like it would need a nice penetrating pass from Arsenal to get through, and it was Alexander Zinchenko, funnily enough, getting the ball to Smith-Rowe, and good chance if Gabriel Jesus just anticipates it a little bit earlier, he's got a clear shot a goal there, but it was a good block by Murillo in the end.
Well, just looking at Matt Turner, who's down injured, just to discuss the early possession, Bruno, 71% for Arsenal in this first 15 minutes. I mean, that is pure dominance. They haven't turned anything into any real goal-scoring chances yet, but you have to say that Forest are going to have to try to break out a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think the possession stats really surprised anyone. I think we knew that Arsenal would have the lion's share of the ball. But Nottingham Forest, they have to be efficient with it, and they have to get the ball into Gibbs White. He's their main sort of playmaker, and try and get the balls into the box for Chris Wood to maybe find a header down. But at the moment, they're standing pretty strong defensively, and Arsenal struggling to break them down.
All right, well, Simon Hooper is just directing Matt Turner where to take this goal kick from. And he looks just a little bit, he's just moving a bit gingerly. We'll keep an eye on Matt Turner. And the goal kick is going to be taken here in just one moment. As we take a look at the crowd there. And it's a fairly full City ground tonight, one would expect in such a big game. Of course, Forest will need to try to get as many points on the board, because if Everton get those 10 points back, Bruno, then Forest could be looking over the shoulders themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, the Everton case is interesting because, of course, they've got the appeal coming up, but then they've also got a potential extended points deduction. As to Nottingham Forest, we'll see what that investigation comes to in the end. But yeah, at the moment, I just think Forest, they really need to find themselves getting more points, certainly in these home games, because they don't want to be reliant on Everton having a 10-point deduction just so that they can stay out.
Well, we've got a goal at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, which won't help Forest, Kate. Elijah Adebayo on 1 minute as a goal scorer there. Here's Gabriel Martinelli. He drops the ball down to the left-hand side to Alexander Zinchenko. Back to Martinelli. Midway inside his own half. Plays the ball across there to Saliba. And Saliba just looking at the options available. Plays the ball over the halfway line to Declan Rice as Arsenal plot another attack on the Nottingham Forest defence. It's down now to the left-hand side to Gabriel Martinelli to Smith Rowe. He gives the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko finds Gabriel Jesus now in the penalty area, Jesus, but the official's flag has gone up and that is offside. Well, the first meeting between these two sides was in October the 22nd, 1904 in League Division 1 at the Manor Ground in Plumstead before Arsenal moved to Highbury. Woolwich Arsenal lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest that day in front of 20,000 people. Some of the news events from 1904 on May the 23rd. FIFA forms in Paris. I'm sure some football fans have differing opinions on FIFA. And on November the 9th, the first airplane flight to last more than 5 minutes took place at Wembley. Back to the current day, and here's Chris Wood now for Nottingham Forest. He lays it off to Dominguez. Dominguez gets into the penalty area, but it's won back here by William Saliba, and he plays the ball forward to Gabriel Jesus. And Leicester City 1, Swansea City 0 in the Championship. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall on 3 minutes. He's been rumoured to be on his way out of the King Power Stadium. We'll see what happens there. Gabriel Jesus was fouled there by Murillo, and it's going to be a free kick for the Arsenal, midway inside their own half of the field. And over this one is Ben White, just looking for options available, see what he can find. He may decide to go long here. Instead, he leaves it for William Saliba, and William Saliba leaves it for David Raya, just to confuse the Nottingham Forest defence and me a little bit. Luton Town have doubled their lead, 2-0. Chidozie of Bene. This is really bad news for Nottingham Forest and everybody else down around the relegation zone. Here's Bukayo Saka. And it's overlapping now to Ben White. Oh, he's just ran that ball out of play. As once again, another Arsenal move breaks down, as they seem to be having difficulty breaking down this Forest defence.
Yeah, once again, Forest defensive structure being tested, but they're standing strong. The tricky trees are proving difficult customers for the Gunners.
Yes, I think we both agreed there at the beginning, didn't we, Bruno, that it wasn't going to be easy today for Arsenal by any stretch of the imagination. Any team in the Premier League, even at the bottom of the table, it's not an easy game. You're fighting for your life down there, and it can be a struggle for a team that's trying to push towards the Championship. But Arsenal desperately need the 3 points today. Here's Gabriel, and it's to Saliba, inside the centre circle, back to Gabriel. Gabriel down the left-hand side. He gives the ball there to Zinchenko. Zinchenko's got Nico Williams breathing down his neck. He drops it back to Gabriel and leaves it again for Zinchenko. Zinchenko down again to this left-hand side to Martinelli. and Martinelli drops it almost back to the halfway line to Alexander Zinchenko. And he's just very patient, Zinchenko. He's just looking for options available. Well, he's got Gabriel alongside him, and he gives the ball to Gabriel. And it goes back to Zinchenko as Arsenal looking for a way to break through this Nottingham Forest rearguard. Here's Emil Smith-Rowe. Drop back again to Zinchenko. And it's midway inside the Forest half of the field. Gabriel picks it up. And he's looking for options surrounding him. And he plays the ball forward there to Emil Smith-Rowe. He's looking to make the most of his opportunity today. And it goes back to the centre circle to William Saliba. And Saliba just switched sides at the moment. He then drops it down this left-hand side to Emil Smith-Rowe. He's got a bit of space in front of him. He gives the ball to Martinelli. Martinelli, corner of the penalty area. Plays it to Jesus, who drops it back to Gabriel. It's lifted over by Zinchenko to Martinelli. Excellent ball. Now, just surrounding Martinelli there is Nico Williams. Nico Williams there trying to stop the cross, but it does come in, and it comes off Smith-Rowe. And it's hacked away there. He could have just left that to go behind, but it's hacked away there. And Arsenal retain possession. And it's Gabriel again. And Gabriel just drops the ball back there to the number 2, William Saliba. And here's Zinchenko as Arsenal maintain possession. And it's now down to Gabriel Martinelli, who gets away from Montiel easily. And there's a shot blocked by, I think that was Mangala that blocked that shot for Forest. And it's now played with Bukayo Saka, who still have the ball, Arsenal. And it's Ben White who gives it to Odegaard. Good challenge by Danilo as Forest can now break out. It's Morgan Gibbs-White getting between the two Arsenal players, Declan Rice and Odegaard. And forward now is Chris Wood with Montiel overlapping. Chris Wood will get a shot away, but it is blocked that time by Alexander Zinchenko, showing he's just as efficient defensively as he is offensively. Such a great two-way player is Alexander Zinchenko. And Gabriel Jesus now comes away with the ball. But again, a rare breakout by Forest, Bruno.
It was, and it was good, and that's what Forest need. They need to get the ball into Morgan Gibbs-White and have him run that sort of 30-40 yards down the field, and hopefully he'll get a better ball into Chris Wood next time. Forest, they can be dangerous on the break.
Oh, they certainly can. And Martinelli tries to get the cross away, but it's blocked by Nico Williams and goes behind for a corner. Montiel will take his position on the front post. World Cup winner with Argentina. And Arsenal will get their third corner of this game. And they are attacking the Trent end in this first half. As the Nottingham Forest fans behind that goal in the Trent end. Well, they've seen most of the action in this first half down at this end. Let's see what Arsenal can do. They've got Jesus in the box. They'll no doubt have Gabriel in there. I see him there just coming in towards the back post. It's where he got one of his goals against Palace last week. As Declan Rice is going to take the corner again down the left-hand side. Bit of a change. It's usually Martinelli taking them down the left-hand side, but Declan Rice is going to swing it in this time. Oh, it's a good one. Almost underneath the crossbar and headed out by Montiel. Now, finally, Montiel tries to come away with the ball, but he's lost it. And Arsenal now have possession again. It's headed out by Montiel, but the pressure is still on here. Bukayo Saka to William Saliba. And that's a good ball by Zinchenko, and he finds Gabriel Jesus, but good work defensively that time. And it's now by Declan Rice. He plays the ball forward, and Nico Williams is adjudged to have handled it, and it's going to be a free kick. Nico Williams protests, but it's a handball. Gibbs-White protests, but the referee's made his decision. I'd just like to have another look at that. Well, what do you think about that, Bruno? He kind of had his arm by his side, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it's quite a harsh one, really. I mean, the ball was biting at him from fairly close range, and I don't know. I think if that was in the penalty box, I don't think that would be given as a penalty. So, with the new handball rules, I don't think that is one.
Yeah, you just never know, though, do you? You just never know. Whenever the ball strikes the hand, however odd and strange as it may be, you just never know. And Matt Turner now just organising things a little bit, and in the box there for Arsenal, it's going to be Martin Odegaard to take it. It's about 35 yards out. Odegaard loops it in towards the back post, but Matt Turner comes out and claims that with confidence. and that will do his confidence a world of good. He was held to blame by a lot of folk for the Ivan Toney goal from the free kick. I think it was partly to do with the fact that Callum Hudson-Odoi was on the end of that wall doing absolutely nothing, and they left an enormous gap, which created that free kick opportunity, albeit Ivan Toney decided to move the ball. It's now cleared for... I'll get your views on that in a minute, actually, Bruno. Here's Gabriel, who plays it back to David Raya, and Raya clears the ball out of play for a throw into Forest. That Ivan Toney incident, did you see it?
I did, yeah, the free kick. Fairly dubious one.
Yeah, it was a little bit, wasn't it? And here's Gabriel Martinelli down the left-hand side now. He plays the ball into the middle, looking for Saka. Great defensive work that time by Toffolo. He really has done a good job on Saka in this first half. That was a really important interception, or Saka was in one-on-one with Turner. It's going to be a fourth corner for Arsenal, of course, but this really was a wonderful move. As we look at Morgan Gibbs-White and a penalty appeal, and there's no way you can give that. That would be it. When they start giving that, Bruno, I think it's a day I quit watching football. But the corner will be taken now by Declan Rice. He's been delivering some pretty decent balls into the box here. Smith Rowe is in there as well. He wouldn't mind a goal at this particular point of the season. Declan Rice is going to swing this one in. Probably go into the 6-yard box again. He goes towards the back post and headed out by Wood, but it just drops forward kindly as he's trying to turn away from Gabriel Jesus. It's a good clearance by Wood, but it finds Alexander Zinchenko down the right-hand side for a change. Zinchenko plays the ball across to Odegaard inside the centre circle as Arsenal unleash another attack on this Nottingham Forest defence. Gabriel drops the ball back there to Declan Rice. Rice cuts into the middle of the park. He's being stalked by Dominguez as he gives the ball to Ben White. White plays the ball to Saka down the right-hand side. Saka trying to get rid of Toffolo for pace. Pulled back to Odegaard, into Declan, into Jesus, and Jesus tried to lay the ball back to Odegaard, and it was cleared by Murillo. And I'll be honest with you, they'd have been better off just shooting that. I think Arsenal were just trying to walk the ball into the net right now. And it's now with Ben White, who gives the ball to Alexander Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Gabriel. And Gabriel is midway inside the Forest half of the field, and he gives it to Ben White. Bukayo Saka down the right-hand side. Saka again. Is he going to get the cross in? He's just holding the ball up this time for Odegaard. And Odegaard drops it back to Ben White. Ben White plays it into the penalty area down the right-hand side. Jesus has got it by the touchline. He just keeps it in play. Steers away from Danilo, and here's Odegaard. Odegaard back to Jesus, and Jesus just overruns the ball, and it's cleared away by Murillo. But right now, I just feel that Arsenal are trying to walk the ball into the net, Bruno.
Yeah, and that was a very good chance to just get a shot off. They haven't been in the Forest box too often, really, in those sort of positions due to Forest shape, and they just tried to pass it into the back of the net instead of taking a pop at goal, and against a pretty unconfident goalkeeper as well.
Yes, that's true. And here's Gabriel, and he plays the ball down to Zinchenko. Zinchenko back to Gabriel, and he gives the ball there to William Saliba, and it goes back to Gabriel again. Gabriel just pulls the ball back into the middle. Just inside his own half there is Saliba, and he gives the ball to Ben White. White forward there to Declan Rice, and back to Ben White. Here's Bukayo Saka, and stalking him there is Harry Toffolo, who really has done very well on Bukayo Saka in this first half, and it's not an easy matchup for him because Bukayo Saka is tricky and quick. And here's Jesus now, cutting into the middle. Tries to play the pass to Emil Smith-Rowe with a shot, and that is wide of the target. Not a million miles away though, Bruno, and it's at least an effort on goal by Arsenal.
Yeah, and at the moment, Forest's defensive shape and making Arsenal just resort to that, just pop shots really from places that shouldn't trouble the goalkeeper too much and around the edge of the box. But you know, they're happy to keep Martin Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, from that sort of distance. And at the moment, Forest, they haven't had a lot of the ball, but they haven't really given up any chances.
You're listening to alternative commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel. Today's player of the match sponsor on the hub is sponsored by Commentary Services. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season. Focus on Football, JB Sports, Dome FM, and don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Commentary Hub. And the ball is with Gabriel now. He plays the ball down the left-hand side, and Emil Smith-Rowe, who's actually seen a lot of the ball in this first half, and he's been quite useful with it. Switching from side to side, Emil Smith-Rowe. I've been really impressed with him in this opening first half. Here's Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli pulled back to Smith-Rowe, and Zinchenko just turns away from Danilo. Really well done. Lifted in there by Jesus, looking for Gabriel Martinelli, but Murillo just comes across. And then it's finally cleared away by Montiel out of play. Emil Smith-Rowe he's started very well today, hasn't he?
He has, and especially for a player that hasn't had too much game time, he's probably been the brightest spark of this Arsenal side so far. Certainly warranting his selection ahead of Kai Havertz so far.
It's a throw in for Arsenal now, almost on the halfway line, and it's dropped to Zinchenko as we take a look at the German international Kai Havertz on the bench. Wonder whether we'll see him today. We may certainly see him at the Emirates on Sunday. A game that we can show you, a game that you can listen to on the Commentary Hub. I'll be bringing commentary of that one at the Emirates, Arsenal versus Liverpool. All-important match, one that Arsenal will definitely need to win if they want to stay in the title hunt, as with this one as well. Here's Saliba, given to Gabriel just over the halfway line. And it's down to Zinchenko. Zinchenko forward to Martinelli. Well, he's dispossessed that time by Dominguez, and Danilo helps out just to drop the ball back there to Omar Bamadeli, who gives the ball back to Matt Turner, who clears the ball downfield. It's just headed down there by Dominguez. Good work by Nicholas Dominguez. Flicked onto Nico Williams. That's good work by Nottingham Forest. And he tries to play the ball down the right-hand side, Williams, but there's nobody up there. And David Raya just comes back and cleans up for Arsenal as they launch another attack. And it's Ben White who gives the ball to Bukayo Saka, and closing him down is his shadow Harry Toffolo. And it's now given with Ben White again. Ben White, he's got options. He decides to go back to Saliba. Declan Rice, he's got Gabriel alongside him, but he goes down the far left to Alexander Zinchenko, who gives it to Martinelli, who only just manages to keep the ball in play. He finds Gabriel again, and Gabriel plays it across the field there to Saliba, who gives it back to Gabriel. Gabriel plays the ball forward about midway inside the Forest half of the field, and it's Zinchenko again. Zinchenko down this left-hand side to Gabriel. And Gabriel just drops it back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko back to Declan Rice. Patient build up by the Gunners here again as they look to find a weakness in that Nottingham Forest defence that right now is looking like the Great Wall of Nottingham. And it's back with Zinchenko. And pulled into the middle of the park by Zinchenko and drops it back there to Saliba and gives it to Odegaard, and Odegaard goes down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka, trying to get away from Toffolo. Here's Odegaard again. He lifts the ball in beautifully, but it's just headed out by Murillo, and it looks like a head injury. He's staying down there. The referee hasn't stopped it. Here's Jesus with a shot, and it's blocked by Murillo and headed out by Danilo to Zinchenko. Back to Odegaard. Odegaard gives it to Bukayo Saka. Pressure this by Arsenal. Saka plays the ball right down to the left-hand side. Here's Zinchenko in the penalty area. Oh, it's a poor ball by Zinchenko. That is very disappointing. A disappointing end to what was a promising build-up, Bruno.
It was, and it was one of Arsenal's better moves of the game, really. But just, keeping the ball around the Nottingham Forest penalty area. And they just need to move it quickly as they were there. But at the moment, Nottingham Forest defensively have been absolutely superb. Just no faults whatsoever.
Well, there's been another goal in the Premier League at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 0, Sheffield United 1. Ben Brereton Diaz, the goal scorer there inside the first minute. Lots of goals elsewhere. We just don't have any here at the City Ground yet. As we look at Nuno Espirito Santo, as he'll look at those results, these are not favourable to Nottingham Forest. As Gonzalo Montiel remains down. He seems to have hurt his shoulder there. We certainly hope he's okay. The Nottingham Forest physio staff are still on there at the moment. While we're doing that, I might as well wrap up my marketing duties for the first half. And you're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel. Today's Player of the Match sponsor on the Hub is sponsored by Commentary Services. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports, Focus on Football and Storm FM. And don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Commentary Hub as Montiel gets to his feet, but he does look in a great deal of pain there. But while we've got a break in play here, Bruno, perhaps you'd like to give us your assessment of the first half so far.
Well, I think it's just been Arsenal with the majority of the possession, but Nottingham Forest really not giving anything up. It's been a very impressive defensive display from a Forest side that were known for leaking quite a few goals under Steve Cooper. And Arsenal, they've had the ball, they've had a couple of shots from outside the area, but they've just really struggled to break this Nottingham Forest side down. And so far, I think Forest will certainly be the more pleased of the two sides.
Do you think, as well, perhaps maybe Arsenal should be willing to try some efforts from outside the box? They've got Odegaard, who's very dangerous from those positions, Bukayo Saka as well, as we look at the Nottingham Forest owner there, Marinakis. But do you think Arsenal should perhaps try a few from the edge of the area?
Well, I think so. I think they've got players who have scored goals from those positions in the past. Certainly, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice has scored the odd goal outside the box as well before. But I just think that they need to get the ball in Temo Smith-Rowe a little bit more. He's been probably the bright spark of this attack so far. And, he hasn't looked out of place since going back into the starting lineup.
Here's Odegaard now for Arsenal, as Arsenal continue to dominate the play here. Here's Declan Rice. Smith-Rowe gives it back to Gabriel, to Zinchenko down the left, Zinchenko gives the ball to Martinelli. And he gets the ball back to Zinchenko as we've got 7 minutes to go till half time. As we count down this first half, we've seen which has mainly been Arsenal, but they haven't really forced the goalkeeper into any kind of a save despite all the possession that they've had. Here's Gabriel, which is, of course, a testament to the defending of Nottingham Forest, which has just been outstanding. And here's Martinelli now. Martinelli plays the ball forward to Smith-Rowe, who drops it back to Zinchenko. Arsenal again looking to break down this highly organised Nottingham Forest defence. Zinchenko gives the ball to Martinelli. Martinelli now, corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. He's got options available. He gives the ball to Gabriel. Nearly every single Arsenal player in the Forest half of the field right now. And here's Jesus. He just gives the ball to Smith-Rowe. Gets it back off Smith-Rowe. Jesus pulls the ball across back to Odegaard. And why didn't one of them shoot? I mean, Gabriel Jesus was in prime shooting position there. Here is Odegaard, and he gives it to Bukayo Saka, corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. Here's Ben White in the penalty area. Oh, it's a poor ball, but the clearance is not great by Danilo. And it's back with Bukayo Saka again. And it's a chance now for Odegaard. His shot is blocked. And that shot is blocked by Gonzalez. And he's still down there. But again, another chance, Bruno, for Arsenal that they just didn't take.
Yeah, and I think if a piece of play really sums up the game, that's it, certainly. Just Arsenal getting into good positions in and around the box, but just unable to either get a shot off or to make the right decision in that final pass. And so far, Nottingham Forest they'll be very happy to see Gabriel Jesus deciding to square it instead of shooting. But that's where Arsenal really need that sort of number 9, that potent striker that's going to get those shots off.
Do you think it's a confidence issue with the Arsenal forwards? I mean, when I look at Arsenal's what they have in terms of the goals, I mean, it's Bukayo Saka, of course, he's got 6, he's got the most. After that, you've really got Eddie Nketiah, who's on the bench today. He's got 5. Martinelli's got 4, and Jesus has only got 3 this season. I wonder whether it's a confidence issue, really, more than anything else.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any problem in sharing the goals around. We've seen title winners such as Manchester City do that before, but it's not a lot of goals that are being shared around for Arsenal. I mean, 6 goals at this stage of the season for your top goal scorer. That's not title-winning numbers. And, Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka hasn't been in great form recently anyway, so I just really think they've missed a trick with, being pretty, not being very active in this transfer window looking for a striker.
Yeah, I think a lot of clubs haven't they? They've seen the penalties handed down to Everton, and they're probably looking at their books now. wondering whether or not they're going to go over that limit, which, of course, for anyone that doesn't know, is 15 million over 3 seasons, an accumulative period. But if you're bankrolled, you can go up to 105 million in the red. And I just wonder whether that's the reason why clubs are just being a little scarce at the moment. Certainly one of the most quietest transfer windows so far that I've seen. Here's Morgan Gibbs-White, and it's won back by Gabriel Jesus. And Jesus gives the ball away now, and it's Danilo for Forest now. Forest breaking forward in numbers, and Danilo has no problem shooting. And it just goes over the top. Well, Nottingham Forest certainly don't have any issues in shooting, Bruno. That was a good build-up by Nottingham Forest. Poor giveaway by Jesus. But Danilo wasn't afraid to have a shot there. It was quite a bit over, but it was worth the effort.
It was, and he just got the ball and kept on going, and he has every right to just take a shot from the edge of the box there. And that's what Nottingham Forest need to do. They need to get, press high, press the players like Gabriel Jesus, who was a little bit too deep there, really, for my liking for a striker. And Danilo, he's a fairly attacking-minded player playing in as a defensive midfielder, and he has a lot of quality. He's got a cracking goal at Brentford from similar range, and Nottingham Forest are dangerous on the counter-attack.
And here's Gabriel now. He plays the ball over the halfway line, down the left-hand side to Alexander Zinchenko. Nico Williams coming across to try to get that ball, but it's a good ball to Emil Smith-Rowe and to Odegaard, who gives it to Declan Rice. Down to Ben White, who gives it to Saka. Here's White now. To Odegaard, edge of the penalty area to White, right-hand side. He gets across in, does Ben White, and he just, chasing that one in there was Martinelli, but it looked like Montiel got the header on that, as he really has been very sharp today as Gonzalo Montiel, as all of the Forest defenders have been. Here's Ben White again, down the right-hand side. Gives it to Odegaard now. Odegaard back to Rice. What can he do with this one, Rice? Gives it back to Ben White. Right-hand side to Rice, corner of the penalty area. And he gives the ball to Odegaard. Back to Gabriel, as Arsenal now continue their build-up hopefully to try to break this Forest defence down. Here's Martinelli. Back to Zinchenko, down the left-hand side. Martinelli again, just trying to work his way into the penalty area there. Back to Bukayo Saka, gives it to Zinchenko. Zinchenko tries to ball the ball into the middle, and Forest not able to clear the ball. It comes to Saka with a shot, and he just takes a deflection off Murillo and rolls the wrong side of the post as far as Arsenal are concerned. But that's the closest that we've come to a goal, Bruno.
It is, and it's once again Arsenal just building up around the edge of the box. Nice intricate play on the edge of the box, and a bit of a scramble really at the goal mouth. Poor defending, and just about cleared in the end by Murillo, and didn't know much about it and got pretty lucky in the end. But once again, Forest standing strong in the heart of defence.
Declan Rice has the corner now down the left-hand side. He's going to swing this one in. It's not the best. It's headed away by Montiel. Only as far as the edge of the penalty area to Odegaard, who heads it back in. It's headed out again, this time by Danilo, and it's back with Odegaard again. And it's launched into the penalty area and headed up in the air by Murillo. And it was allowed to drop by Nico Williams, and it's a free kick despite the shot by Bukayo Saka. And, Nico Williams goes down under that challenge, and Forest win the free kick. In the Championship, Coventry City 1, Bristol City 0. Tatsuyo Sakamoto on 27 minutes for the Sky Blues. Coventry City take the lead there. And it's the free kick now to be taken. It's going to actually be taken by the Forest goalkeeper, Matt Turner, whose distribution has not been the best this season. Let's see how he goes with this one. It's a long ball forward. It's not bad. And it's headed back into the Forest half of the field. 81% possession in this first half by Arsenal, with 7 attempts at goal. I don't think they've had one on target yet. It's throw-in now for Nottingham Forest, bang on the halfway line, thrown down the left-hand side and headed on there by Mangala, but it's cleared away. And Andrew Omobamidele just gets there before Martinelli, but only finds Emil Smith-Rowe, and he gives the ball to Ben White as Arsenal breaking down the right-hand side. 3 minutes of stoppage time. It's swung into the middle and headed out by Murillo, picked up by Declan Rice, and this is what Arsenal have been good at in this first half, picking up the loose balls. Here's Zinchenko down the left. He swings it in, and the header over the crossbar that time by Gabriel Jesus, and it'll be a goal kick. But really, Arsenal have been outstanding at picking up the loose balls today. Bruno, whatever else they haven't done, they certainly have been good at that.
Yeah, well, I just think it's getting the ball in the back of the net that they haven't done so far. They've had a massive lion's share of the possession, and they just haven't really carved out any clear-cut opportunities and chances. And maybe just a lack of a focal point up front. You know, we've seen Gabriel Jesus move around quite a bit. They're just maybe needing to stick into that penalty area to get on the end of one of these chances.
Yeah, certainly. And we've played 1 minute of stoppage time with 2 minutes left to go in this first half. Forest 0, Arsenal 0 at the City Ground. Of course, the fixture early on in the season was won by Arsenal 2-1 at the Emirates. And here's Alexander Zinchenko down the left-hand side. And he plays the ball into the middle. And Odegaard under pressure there from Dominguez. Turns away from Dominguez. Good play. Finds Saka on the corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. Back to Odegaard, who gives it back to Saka. Again, back to Odegaard. He's going to try from here, Odegaard. No. He gives the ball to Ben White in the penalty area. Ben White launches the ball in. Was Gabriel Jesus pushed there? We might have to look at that again. But here is Saliba. Saliba down to Ben White on the right-hand side. And it's again back with Odegaard. Odegaard looking for options, so he's just dancing away there from Dominguez, and it's now found Gabriel. Gabriel down the left-hand side. Space for Zinchenko if he can get the cross in. Oh, it's a poor cross, and it's headed out there by Morgan Gibbs-White. And here is Zinchenko again. Zinchenko pulling into the middle. And he finds Odegaard, and Odegaard dropped it back there to William Saliba, to Ben White, as we've got 30 seconds left of the 3 minutes minimum, and then whatever standard time Simon Hooper may wish to add on. The ball is long to the far side, to the left-hand side, to Gabriel Martinelli. He gets into the penalty area, beats Montiel, and it's back to the edge now to Zinchenko. Back to Martinelli now. Martinelli trying to beat Montiel again. Once again, back to Zinchenko as he gets the cross in towards the back post, and it's won there by White, but it's cleared away really by Dominguez, but not really effectively. Only finds Saliba, who now gives it to Odegaard, and Odegaard swings it in and looking for Jesus, and it's just turned over the crossbar by Matt Turner, and that is the half-time whistle, and it is 0-0, but that was the closest we've come with Jesus' header on the back post, forcing a decent save from Matt Turner. And just before we go back to Ross, Bruno, could I have your assessment of the first half?
Well, I mean, it's not been anything other than all Arsenal, really. We've just seen Arsenal with a massive share of the possession. Just getting into the box of Nottingham Forest, but Forest standing very strong. Matt Turner hasn't really had too much to do other than that little bit at the end. But so far, I think that Forest would be pretty content because Arsenal haven't really carved out any opportunities of note.
Well, it's just before I head back to Ross, Crystal Palace have equalised against Sheffield Wednesday. Eberechi Eze on 17 minutes has equalised there, so that's 1-1. So we're going to return back to Ross for your half-time talk.
Thank you, Paul. And just before we do let Bruno go as well, Bruno, I just want to ask you a quick question on that first half. When you look at the first half overall, as you've just given your assessment there to Paul, what is the question I want to ask you is, out of the two managers, Nuno Espirito Santo and Mikel Arteta, which one do you think would be the happier of the two managers at half time?
Well, I think that they'll both be fairly satisfied with what they've seen so far. I know that Nuno probably won't be too happy with the lack of possession of Nottingham Forest, and Arteta will be pretty disappointed with the way that the Arsenal have been in the opposition penalty area. But I think the game has sort of planned out as expected. But it's just Arsenal, they just haven't been too potent up in that final pass or the final shot. And Nottingham Forest, they'll hope to get a couple more chances on the counter-attack, and they've looked fairly dangerous when they've been able to break.
We have indeed, Bruno. Thank you. You can go for your half-time refreshments as well, while we bring all the scores on the doors across the leagues that are taking place this evening. Just as we leave Bruno and Paul at half-time, or Paul and Bruno, whichever way you want to look at it, There's been another goal at Sellers Park. You just said from Paul before he left that Crystal Palace had equalised against Sheffield United through Erebici Eze on 17 minutes after Ben Burton Diaz opened the scoring after just 1 minute. However, in the 20th minute, and we've just gone into the 20th minute in the game at Sellers Park, it's Crystal Palace 1, Sheffield United 2, James McAtee with the goal there for Sheffield United. They now lead by 2-1. Elsewhere in the Premier League, 36 minutes on the clock in these two matches. Fulham 0, Everton 0. And do not adjust your sets right now, you'll hear this correctly. Luton Town 2, Brighton & Hove Albion 0. And on 7 minutes in the quarter-past-8 kick-off, it's going to be Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 0. In the African Cup of Nations, 23 minutes on the clock is Morocco 0, South Africa 0. In the Championship, it's College City 1, Bristol City 0. And it's still Leicester City 1, Swansea City 0 after 38 minutes at the King Power Stadium. In League 1, Oxford United 0, Portsmouth 0. In League 2, Sutton 0, Harrogate 0. In the National League, what a game it has been in one of the two matches in the National League today. Solihull Moors 0, Dagenham Redbridge 0. That's all the one I'm on about. What I'm on about is Wealdstone 2, Aldershot 2 after 38 minutes. And I can tell you, I'm not going to say who scored, but after 24 minutes, Aldershot were 2-0 up. 10 minutes later, it is 2-2. What a turnaround at Wealdstone there against Aldershot in the National League this evening. In the EFL Trophy, or the Bristol Motors Trophy as it is known for sponsorship purposes, after 65 minutes it's currently Blackpool 0, Bolton Wanderers 0. At half-time it is Bradford City 0, Doncaster Rovers 0. Also at half-time it's Peterborough United 2, AFC Wimbledon 0 is the scoreline there. So there's the other scores at half-time. We did have been receiving some transfer news all throughout the day today with us. Keep gaining information throughout the day today, which I'll just quickly go through some of those to tell you about what we've heard today. Just news from Crystal Palace. They've agreed a fee to sign midfielder Adam Wharton from Blackburn Rovers. The 19-year-old is now travelling to London for a medical and complete the move, which will be worth around 22 million plus add-ons. I understand that Wolverhampton Wanderers have had a bid rejected for Chelsea striker Amanda Broya, while Wolves have agreed a deal with Paris Saint-Germain to sign Noel Lemina on loan. We also need to finalise the terms with Lemina and his agent, but are set to tell the 18-year-old on loan with a 2 million option to buy. Noel Lemina is the younger brother of the current Wolves star, Mario. Middlesbrough have agreed a deal worth around about 15 million to sign Middlesbrough's Morgan Rogers, who was a former product of Manchester City's academy. Manchester City have got about 25% sell-on clause in that deal. West Ham United, who one of our colleagues on our channel who's hearing tonight, Bruno's follows, they've turned down an inquiry from Crystal Palace about signing Ben Johnson. And at 7 o'clock this evening, it was announced Bournemouth winger David Brooks had joined Southampton in the Championship on loan for the remainder of the season. We'll keep you up to date with any more transfer news as and when we can get it. There's news as well that this evening that Karim Benzema will remain at Al Ittihad in the Saudi Pro League after the January transfer window deadline approaches. Leon will exploring a move for Karim Benzema, but it's now said like he will be staying in Saudi Arabia there as well this evening. Mike has been in touch, says, hi guys, good to see you both. I think that's regarding Paul and Bruno, but hopefully it's good to hear me as well, Mike. He's been on as well, and he's been saying Arsenal are lacking an attacker once again. They're lacking a clinical centre forward, and he says Smith Rowe hasn't been involved enough for his liking as well. I can tell you, coming up towards half time in the Championship matches, and the 7:45 kick-offs, where the scores remain Fulham 0, Everton 0, Luton 2, Brighton 0. In the Premier League, in the Championship, Coventry 1, Bristol City 0, Leicester 1, Swansea 0. In League 1, Oxford 0, Portsmouth 0, and in League 2, Sutton 0, Harrogate Town 0 as well. And in the National League, Solihull Moors 0, Denham Redbridge 0, Willstone 2, Aldershot 2. Still playing in the game in the Bristol Motors Trophy, or AFL Trophy, whichever you want to call it. Blackpool 0, Bolton Wanderers 0 in the game there at Bloomfield Road as well, to keep you up to date with. There is a game taking place in the Scottish Premiership tonight as well. A couple of games in there. Aberdeen 1, Dundee 0, and Livingston 0, Ross County 1. A latest score. Scottish League 2, a couple of games in there. East Fife 0, Spartans 0, Elgin 1, Clyde 1. And in the Scottish Cup tonight, Borough Rangers 1, Cove Rangers 1 is the latest score there as well. So we'll keep you up to date with all of those into the second half. And still Morocco 0, South Africa 0 as well this evening. Thank you to those who are tuned in this evening. We do very much appreciate every single one of you that pick up your dials and tune us in every single week. And when I say pick up your dials, I'm about pick up your TV set, put it on YouTube or put it on Twitch. Or if that's better, you can put it on Twitch that way as well. We would very much appreciate you all tuning in and listening to us and giving us our full support for the channel that we've got here. Still 0-0 between Aston Villa and Newcastle. There's a big chance about to be happening at Kenilworth Road. It looks like Luton could be about to go 3-0 up against Brighton Hove Albion, and they have done. Just before half time is Luton Town 3, Brighton Hove Albion 0. Elijah Adebayo with the goal on 42 minutes is the goal there. And what about this for a game at Sellers Park? Sheffield United thought they were going in after 27 minutes, so they were 2-1 up against Crystal Palace. It is now 2-2 on 28 minutes at Sellers Park. Just awaiting confirmation on who scored that goal there for Crystal Palace. I can tell you Elijah Adebayo with his second of the afternoon to give the goals for in the game for Luton Town. Just trying to see who's got that second goal for Crystal Palace. Just trying to get confirmation of that goal score for Crystal Palace. Just waiting for that to come through to us. And it's Eze again. 27 minutes gone. Richie Eze has made it Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 2. And according to the Crystal Palace account, X account, or Twitter as we call this to leave a commentary up, they've just tweeted, Abire Eze, that is ridiculous. So 2-2 the scoreline between Crystal Palace and Sheffield United, and 3-0 to Luton against Brighton and Hove Albion. What a game those games have been this evening so far. Unfortunately for us, we didn't pick one of those games to cover. There'd been plenty of goals in the other matches, especially at Sellers Park. We picked this game where there's only been chances at both ends, but no goals as of yet, and one yellow card in there for Gabriel Jesus as well for Arsenal. And Paul, I just want to fetch our match commentator in who's alongside us, and Paul, and you're with us now, Paula. And Mike has put in some interesting comments for my like. He says Arsenal lacking an attacker once again. They're lacking a clinical centre forward. What do you make about those two comments first of all, Paul?
Yeah, I agree with him there. The only point I do disagree with him on is that he feels that Smith Rowe hasn't been involved enough for his liking. For me, I think Smith Rowe has been one of Arsenal's better players in the first half. He's done a lot of quiet work behind the scenes, if you will, picking up loose balls and creating play. In terms of goal scoring opportunities, he hasn't, but I don't really think that's Smith Rowe's thing. I think he's I think he works hard behind the scenes and wins balls back and picks up loose balls and plays good passes. I think he's done that in the first half, but I think, yeah, I agree mostly though with what Mike is saying. They are definitely lacking somebody with the confidence to just shoot the ball. Right now, they're trying to walk the ball into the net a little bit too much for my liking.
Yes, and I agree with Mount from what I've been watching the team here as well. And there's been, just before we continue with that, John, there's been a goal in League One. Oxford United 1, Portsmouth 0, Tyler Goodrum on the stroke of half time. There, Sutton United 0, Harrogate Town 0 in League 2 is a half time scoreline. East African Spartans are 0-0 in their game. Livingston equalised against Ross County in their game as well. There's been a goal at the CBS Arena, Coventry Building Society Arena, and Bristol City have levelled just before half time there against Coventry City. Bristol City have levelled. The game is currently 1-1. Rob Dickey, the centre back, with that goal in first half. Stoppage time for the Robins. And VAR have just, for offside, have disallowed the Morocco goal, which would have put them 1-0 up against South Africa in the African Cup of Nations. There is still 70 minutes on the clock, still Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 0. We've got just seen a couple of pictures from that game, and we're going to get ready for the second half shortly in this game. Just fetch Bruno back. Just fetch you in it quickly, a minute, Paul, before we get Bruno back with us as the players are back out ready for the second half. Just want to ask you a quick question, Paul. Do you see there being a winner in this game, or do you think the draw from what you've seen will be the outcome at the end of the match for you?
Well, I think Arsenal are well capable of winning. I think Forest, if they want to get the victory, they may want to bring on Anthony Elanga maybe and Taiwo Awonyi. Those two linked up for the only goal in the game back at the Emirates at the beginning of the season. Second half is just about to get underway here now with Forest.
Yes, so we're going to hand back over to Paul and Bruno. And Bruno, just before we get back to Paul, Bruno, just a quick one from you. And Paul, you can take over after this. Do you see this game ending in a draw, or do you think someone will win it inside 90 minutes this evening?
Well, I think there is a chance for either side to win it, but I think whoever wants it more has to really go and get it, because Arsenal, for all the possession they've had, they really haven't just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. They haven't really created much, and Nottingham Forest making an attacking substitution, bringing on Awoniyi with a much anticipated return, and let's see if that makes a difference.
So the second half underway with Taiwo Awonyi, as Bruno mentioned, has just come on. And he has come on for a straight swap with Chris Wood. So Wood is off and Taiwo Awonyi is on. Scored against Forest back at the Emirates, as I mentioned earlier. And we'll see whether that adds any attacking impetus to Forest. As Arsenal attacking the goal to our right in the second half, of course, Forest attacking the Trent end. And here's Gabriel. He gives the ball now down to the left-hand side to Martinelli, who gives it back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko to Smith Rowe now. Down the left-hand side, tries to get the cross in, but it's blocked. And it goes out of play for a throw. And it's going to be a throw-in for Arsenal, almost level with the Forest penalty area down the left-hand side. And it's Zinchenko that is going to take this throw-in. Arsenal spending much of the time in the first half down the left-hand side, with Martinelli and Zinchenko linking up very, very well in the first half. And it's back now with William Saliba, who gives the ball to Declan Rice. It's in the centre circle, drops it back to Ben White, and he's been pushed all the way back to the goalkeeper, David Raya. And he clears the ball out there to Gabriel, who gives it to Alexander Zinchenko. To Morgan Gibbs-White. It's half-time at Craven Cottage, Fulham 0, Everton 0. Results not going the way of Everton or Nottingham Forest tonight. As here's Gabriel now, gives it down the left-hand side to Gabriel Martinelli. Martinelli back to Gabriel. And he plays the ball back to Gibbs-White, not to Gibbs-White rather, to Emil Smith-Rowe. And Alexander Zinchenko to Saliba. Saliba plays the ball forward there to Odegaard, and he drops it back to Declan Rice. Good ball by Declan Rice, down to Bukayo Saka now, and he's got Harry Toffolo in front of him as well. The cross into the middle is blocked by Mangala. It's a poor ball, really. But here is Martin Odegaard. It's picked up by Declan Rice now. Declan Rice. Just down that right-hand side again. He moves to the middle. It's half-time at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 1, Swansea 0, and Coventry City 1, Bristol City 1 is also the score there. Here's Odegaard now. Down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. He's got Toffolo in front of him. Can he get the better of Toffolo? Saka is being pressed back. This is good defending by Toffolo. Over to help him is Dominguez. He drops it back there, does Saka to Ben White. It's now to Jesus in the penalty area. What can Jesus do with it? He gets the ball across, but it's just blocked there by Murillo. And in the ball, he now breaks loose to Morgan Gibbs-White. Oh, he just turns away from Declan Rice. Brilliantly there. Finds Taiwo Awoniyi. Awoniyi is dispossessed, but the ball breaks loose to Gibbs-White, who drops the ball back. It's there with Toffolo and Murillo. And Murillo gives the ball across to Danilo. And just over there is Montiel. And, he played the ball back to Danilo. And, Gabriel Jesus almost dispossesses him there. And Nico Williams heads the ball down to Montiel. Montiel, under pressure, is dispossessed by Emil Smith-Rowe. And here is Zinchenko. Zinchenko lifts the ball over to Gabriel Martinelli. And Martinelli get the cross in here. He beats, he beat Omar Bamadeli there, but he got the cross in, but it's cleared away from Murillo. And only as far as Gabriel Jesus. As far as clearing the ball, but there's no coordination in their distribution. And here's Martinelli. He drops the ball back to Zinchenko. Cross to Declan Rice. Luton 3-0 up at half-time against Brighton. And there is Ben White. And Ben White gives it to Saka. Back to White. And we're going to bring in Bruno in just a moment here. In fact, we'll bring in Bruno now. It's the early pressure and the defending by Forest continues to be solid, Bruno, but their clearances and distribution is tend to be just giving the ball back, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it just feels a little bit panicky at the start of the second half of Forest defensively. But I think what they need to do is really, they're pressing a little bit higher up the pitch now. I think they've got a bit more of an attacking intent now that they've got 45 minutes left and they're still level. And I think that this could be a good setup for an interesting second half.
Here's Zinchenko. Zinchenko drops the ball to Jesus, and it's back to Gabriel. Gabriel across to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard, judging the penalty area, tries to dance his way through it, breaks loose for Martinelli, but that is really, really good work by Omar Bamadeli. And he sets off Morgan Gibbs-White on his way, was looking for Taiwo Awoniyi. The path was broken loose. Instead, he goes out onto the far right-hand side to Nico Williams. Williams, can he get the crossing as Forrest? Oh, that's a poor ball by Nico Williams and cleared out of play by Gabriel. And that was a promising move with a disappointing end there, Bruno.
It was, and going off the first half, Nottingham Forest won't have too many more chances like that. But it's better intent from Forest, really. Gibbs-White, getting him the ball closer to the Arsenal penalty area, probably about as close as they've been to it in the whole game. But just Forest now just need to calm down, keep the ball in the Arsenal half, and try and create a chance.
Well, it goes back to the goalkeeper by Murillo, as Forest now just trying to keep possession for a while. That was a really promising move with Gibbs-White trying to locate Awoniyi there. As the ball is played forward now to Taiwo Awoniyi. He goes down under pressure from Saliba, and he's alleged to have fouled Taiwo Awoniyi, and it's going to be a free kick. Well, Taiwo Awoniyi just exploded at the beginning of the season with the goals that he scored. He of course, he has 4 goals, but he's been out for much of the season with injury, and he had the same problem last season. He's been a bit injury cursed as Taiwo Awoniyi. We certainly hope he's healthy now, as I personally enjoy watching Taiwo Awoniyi. I think he's almost a complete package. He's powerful, he's quick, he's good in front of goal. I think Forest have got a diamond there, to be perfectly honest, but the free kick is launched in now there by Danilo and headed on by Murillo, just headed into the air by Declan Rice and headed on goal by Nico Williams, but it's a comfortable save for David Raya, but the closest Forest have come so far, Bruno.
It is, and they've come out with a little bit more attacking intent. It was, it was a good play to get it into Awoniyi. He's mean, pretty bright, certainly coming back from quite a while out. But so far, the Forest have come out with a bit more intent in the second half, and it's probably their first effort on goal, really, of any note from Nico Williams, and just a bit brighter from the home side.
And there's Jesus. He finds Martin Odegaard, a bit of space in front of him. Odegaard. He now finds Saka with the shot. Oh, good save by Turner. Super save by Turner from Saka's effort. That's the first big save Matt Turner has had to make, and it comes on 52 minutes. Here is Zinchenko. We'll get Bruno's thoughts in a moment on that. It's Gabriel again. Back to Zinchenko. And Gabriel. Once again, he'll probably go back to Zinchenko. Indeed, he does. Down the left-hand side, Zinchenko gives the ball back to Gabriel. Arsenal are trying to break through here. I just wondered, they're just trying to pull this Nottingham Forest team out of shape. Here's Zinchenko again, and he gives the ball now to Ben White. Ben White down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka, cycling the ball well, Arsenal. Tries to get the cross in, but it's a good block there by Toffolo. Good save by Matt Turner, hey?
It was, and he hasn't really had much to do in this first half so far, but he's been alert when he's had to. He's come under a lot of scrutiny over the last few weeks. A lot of reports saying that Forest are looking for a new goalkeeper to come in and challenge his position. But so far, he's been solid tight. He hasn't had too much to do, but when he was called upon there, he was up for it.
Corner to be taken by Bukayo Saka down this right-hand side now. And he's probably going to swing this in the 6-yard box. Saka, let's see what he does. He does, goes under the goalkeeper, and that's good work by Matt Turner. Just plucks it out the air like it's meat and drink for him. And he's looking for options now to distribute the ball. And he plays a simple ball to Murillo, and Murillo plays it forward to Danilo. Back to Murillo. Murillo over the halfway line, and here goes Harry Toffolo. Toffolo plays it into Awoniyi. Awoniyi trying to just turn away from Gabriel, and it's hacked away by Zinchenko and helped along by Saliba to Bukayo Saka. And this is the difference between the distribution from defence into attack. There was no panic by Arsenal there. Here goes Emile Smith-Rowe. Gives the ball to Gabriel Martinelli. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side Martinelli. He swings the ball towards the back post. Murillo comes up for it along with Turner, and it goes behind for a corner. I'm guessing maybe Turner didn't shout, or maybe Murillo didn't hear him, but it's going to be a corner now for Arsenal again, as Forest just panicking a little bit at the back. And Martinelli gets himself in that box along with Ben White and Emile Smith-Rowe, as Declan Rice is going to swing one in again. And you can see looks like the Arsenal fans behind that goal, all on their feet, as Declan Rice swings this one in, and the heads go up. It's just headed out there by Montiel. Only as far, though, as Zinchenko. He gives the ball back to Declan Rice. Rice pulls the ball back with perhaps the challenge there coming from Dominguez. And here's Zinchenko now. He just calmly plays it back to David Raya. A comment in the comment section. I'm going to read that one out. Media and Jingles. Hello, Paul and Bruno. Good to hear you again. Hi, Media, Radio and Jingles and Gaming. Thanks for listening today. Certainly appreciate your listening and commenting. I know I've seen you a little bit in the comment section in these games, so nice to see you commenting again. Hope you're enjoying the game, even though we can't bring you any goals so far, but hopefully we'll get some in before the end, we hope. And here's William Saliba, gives the ball to Ben White. Ben White plays the ball forward there to Bukayo Saka, to Odegaard. Good switch-up play by Arsenal. Here's Ben White again. Plays the ball. Oh, Bukayo Saka in the penalty area. He's got some space, Saka. He backheels it to Odegaard. Odegaard to Jesus. Oh, he hits the post. Oh, my word. That should have been the opening goal for Arsenal. Here is Martinelli now. That's the first real time Forest defence was really prized open there. And Declan Rice just plays the ball forward to Ben White. Ben White gets the ball across. Good work by Mangala. Just gets a foot in there. But it's quickly won back by Martin Odegaard. Good work by him. Odegaard gets the ball back off Saliba. And is he fouled that time? The referee says yes. Well, what a chance for Jesus. What a chance.
Yeah, and it all comes from Nottingham Forest giving Bukayo Saka in the box way too much space. Plays a nice intricate pass with Martin Odegaard, who gets into Jesus, and he just smashes the ball, and unluckily for him, it hits the post. But maybe when it's just not your day, it's not your day for Arsenal so far.
Yeah, and that's true, but it was a brilliant build-up play, and that's what happens when you give Saka that much time in the penalty area. He's so dangerous from those positions. And Odegaard as well, just able to pick out players. It's almost as if they've got almost a third level of vision in what they see. It's almost automatic. They don't even need to look. They know where these players are.
It
And
is, yeah. And sometimes it's a burden because they just almost know them too well and they decide to pass instead of shoot. But that time it was just unlucky. And, Arsenal, they play a little bit more like that and they create better chances like that. They will score soon.
well, the free kick was swung in. Forest again not able to get the ball away. Here's Jesus again with a shot. And blazes it over the crossbar. He gets his foot underneath that as Jesus' goal scoring drought continues. Once again, he just created a lovely opportunity for himself here, Jesus. Just flicks the ball between Danilo and Gonzalez there and then hits it. Just gets his foot underneath it. And for Jesus, we know he's capable of scoring goals. He did so at Manchester City. He did so at the beginning with Arsenal. I just wonder at the moment whether he's going through a dry spell right now and how he might get out of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's never really been that out-and-out number 9, even at Manchester City, and Arsenal just don't have that, to be fair. And, we know that they were looking at potentially bringing in a striker. Ivan Toney's name was mentioned around there. But, last season it was probably what stopped them winning the title, and this season it looks like it might be the same thing.
Well, we're seeing action on the Nottingham Forest bench as they are preparing another substitute to come on. And here is Toffolo. And it's a good win there. Dominguez gets the ball. And it's Mangala. He just drops the ball back into his own half. Here's Murillo now for Forest. Arsenal player down and the referee has pulled up play as it's Bukayo Saka who is down. Now, if that's not a head injury, I do wonder why they stopped play right there. And it's not. It looks like he's clutching his ankle. I do wonder why Simon Hooper stopped play there.
It's an interesting one. It didn't look like much, and the referee's been quite good so far. He's let the game flow quite a bit, but an interesting one there.
Well, at Villa Park, we just heard of a goal. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 1. Fabian Schär on 32 minutes. As here's Danilo for Forest. He plays the ball down to the right-hand side. Gonzalo Montiel, he gives it back to Danilo. And Danilo just holding up the ball. He's under pressure by Martinelli. Danilo. He plays the ball forward looking for a Awoniyi. And Saliba's got his work cut out with Taiwo Awoniyi. And it's won there by Nico Williams. And Williams gets a cross in and just cleared away that time by Ben White out for a throw-in. Down the right-hand side. Mike Harneman again. Very poor from us again. Hate this pretty tiki-taka when we're not breaking the opposition down. I think I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment, Bruno, but I actually agree with that comment. There is a little bit too much of the tiki-taka. It's good when it comes off, but do it when you're 2-0 up or 3-0 up, and I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. Just after this throw-in here, it's taken quickly, and Danilo just brings it down with his shoulder and tries to turn the ball away from Zinchenko. Good work by Danilo, and he almost found Taiwo Awoniyi, and it bounced off Awoniyi and goes behind for a goal kick to Arsenal. With 61 minutes gone. You agree with Mike's comments there, Bruno?
I don't actually, because I think tiki-taka can get a bit boring and a bit repetitive when it's just passing it around the defenders in the midfield. But I think Arsenal have actually been quite good in getting the ball into forward areas. It's just that final pass that they've struggled with. At times they do take an extra pass too many, but I think they're playing some nice stuff. But it's just that final shot or that final cross.
Well, here's Gabriel now, and he plays the ball just onto the halfway line, and he gives it to Zinchenko. It's forward to Gabriel Martinelli and back to Emil Smith-Rowe. And it's played forward again to Smith-Rowe there, who's got Andrew Omobamidele stalking him there. He plays the ball to Odegaard, back to Smith-Rowe, and it finds Jesus in the penalty area, but that is really good work between Murillo and Montiel. It's cleared away. It's half-time at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 2. It's the latest there. Well, it seems the goals are everywhere else but here. Here's Emil Smith-Rowe. Let's see what Arsenal can do about that now. Here's Zinchenko Forward to Jesus, and it's picked up by Gabriel Martinelli. But good work by Murillo there once again. And here's Mangala. Mangala plays the ball to Gibbs White, and Gibbs White there is just intercepted by Odegaard. And it's back with Gabriel. Gabriel just over the halfway line to Zinchenko. We've got 63 minutes gone here, and it is Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 0 at the City Ground in Nottingham on the Trent. And, it's we've not seen goals, but we've seen some good football played by Arsenal. Forest, of course, have had one or two chances themselves, but really haven't been able to counter anything there. And defending has been very good, though. And here's Gabriel. He drops the ball back there to Declan Rice inside the centre circle. Back to Ben White. And Ben White just turning away there from Dominguez. And it's now with Bukayo Saka down the right-hand side. Saka just turning away from Dominguez. And it couldn't find Declan Rice. And now Forest can come away with a ball with Mangala. And Newcastle have doubled their lead. Fabian Schär. The ball goes out of play there from Mangala. It's going to be a throw into Arsenal as another substitution readying himself. It's Callum Hudson-Odoi who's going to be coming on, and it looks like Dominguez is the one coming off. So Callum Hudson-Odoi coming on as Dominguez is now coming off. It seems to be moving quite gingerly as well. So it's possibly a knock that he's picked up. Is it an injury maybe, Bruno?
Yeah, I think it probably is. He's been quiet today, Dominguez. In the last game that we did together, like he was bright in the game against Manchester United, but now Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's a pretty established Premier League player, is coming on, and he can make an impact. He's quick, he's skillful, and he's scored a couple of goals already this season.
Well, the ball is picked up here by Morgan Gibbs-White, immediately surrounded by three Arsenal players, and Arsenal win the ball back with Bukayo Saka. Forward to Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe to Alexander Zinchenko, and Zinchenko just moving towards the midway inside the field. It's a poor ball, and it's comfortably won back there by Nico Williams. And Nico Williams just runs the ball out of play. He's claiming a foul. The referee said no. The ball is thrown to Gabriel Jesus in the penalty area now. Jesus, he scored! Oh, the goalkeeper, and that is poor by Matt Turner. As once again, his goalkeeping will come under scrutiny, and Arsenal take a 1-goal lead with Gabriel Jesus. There's no way a goalkeeper of Premier League quality should be being beaten there. And, a goal by Gabriel Jesus. We spoke about him, Bruno, about his drought right now. Maybe this is just what he needs.
Yeah, and I don't know whether to say what a finish or poor goalkeeping. We'll have to see the replay, but I don't know how on earth he got it in on the left-hand side of the box, just smashed it low and hard, and somehow it beat Matt Turner at the near post, and from a really impossible angle, Arsenal taking a 1-0 and certainly deserved lead.
And there was no real power, actually, Bruno, behind that shot. It was just a side foot. I mean, that's poor. Poor. I think maybe I'm being harsh. I mean, I used to be a goalkeeper. Maybe I'm not. I'll get kicked out of the union, but that's poor. I don't know your thoughts on that, Bruno.
It is. It just goes straight through him. Really, it's it's not as powerful as I first thought. It's just gone straight through Matt Turner, and he had a pretty solid game so far, but that's a really disappointing goal that a Premier League goalkeeper should not be conceding its near post like that.
Yeah, and it's and of course the scrutiny will continue to be poured on Matt Turner as here's Callum Hudson-Odoi. Gives the ball there to Morgan Gibbs-White, but Hudson-Odoi is alleged to have been offside. As that goal went in, Mike said, I think we need to look at some changes too. Nketiah and Trossard. Do you still feel the same about that now Arsenal have taken the lead, Mike? Let us know in the chat.
I think maybe not.
Well, I think as good as the build-up play, that's the first real time, well, only the second real time I would say that Arsenal have really got behind Forest in this game. They've defended very, very well. And it's a shame for Forest that they've been let down that way. The ball is forward to Jesus again, and Danilo clears it, and headed on by Gabriel. And there is Declan Rice. And here is William Saliba now for Arsenal. There's 22 minutes to go. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel. Today's Player of the Match sponsor on the Hub is sponsored by Commentary Services. And Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partners for this season, JB Sports, Focus on Football and Storm FM. And don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1. And you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Commentary Hub. As the cross is swung in that time by Gonzalo Montiel and will be cleared there by Gabriel, as Jesus just gives the ball away there, and it's Nico Williams who gives the ball to Montiel. And back to Williams. Can Williams get the cross in now? Oh, he can. And up there is Callum Hudson-Odoi and a one-year. It's only headed up into the air and then hacked away by Bukayo Saka, with clearance by him. Mike is laughing, saying Agent Matt Turner. It's true. Here's Gabriel Jesus now. As Arsenal breaking out in numbers. It's Martin Odegaard now, edge of the area, into the penalty area to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka gets a shot away, but it's blocked by Murillo that time. Arsenal again looking threatening coming forward, Bruno.
They are, and Forest have really just had the wind out of their sails taken out of them. It's just been, they've been on the back foot all game, and they were just probably hoping for a 0-0 draw. Now that Arsenal, they've got the goal, they've got confidence, and they're really looking like the side that are going to get the second goal if there is one.
And it's going to be Bukayo Saka with the corner here, as Arsenal leading in this vital game for both teams, really for different reasons. But this is bad news for Forest, with the teams at the bottom doing quite well right now. It's swung in and headed up into the air and away, but only as far as Declan Rice. Rice gets the ball back again and just allows himself to drift back into his own half of the field. And he plays the ball down the right-hand side looking for Saka, but that goes out of play. And it's going to be a throw-in, as Yates is now readying himself to come on for Nottingham Forest's third substitution. Ryan Yates. We'll just see who is coming on for him, as the ball is picked up by Callum Hudson-Odoi here. Hudson-Odoi storming over the halfway line, given to Morgan Gibbs-White. Good work by him. He drops the ball to Mangala. Mangala over on the far side to Gonzalo Montiel. Montiel getting forward here, played into Nico Williams. Williams inside the penalty area, right-hand side. Can he get the cross in, Williams? Oh, he tries to, but that's a good block by Alexander Zinchenko. Game with 20 minutes to go.
And on Arsenal now, I think that they just have to hold on. But Nottingham Forest can always be dangerous. A set piece or something can always prove a difficulty for Arsenal defending.
Well, there's a couple of substitutions in fact. Emil Smith-Rowe has gone off for Kai Havertz. So Havertz comes on. I'm just trying to see who's coming on for Ryan Yates. He's just preparing himself there now. Now, of course, he's usually the captain for Forest. Orel Mangala is his replacement. So I don't know whether he's going to take the captain's armband off Morgan Gibbs-White. We'll see. But Orel Mangala is his replacement. And he's just organising things there now, as the corner is going to be taken by Danilo. This one is going to be swung in, and the heads go up. It's just headed up into the air by Ben White. Comes out to Morgan Gibbs-White, who blazes a shot, and it's blocked well there. As Arsenal now moving forward, and Gabriel Martinelli just chasing it down. And again, it's a poor ball by Gonzalo Montiel. And here's Jesus again. He's got options available. Here's Bukayo Saka, a chance to make it 2. It is 2. And Arsenal double their lead and are on the way to 3 points tonight. A beautiful finish by Bukayo Saka. Well,
Game, set and match now, surely, for Arsenal.
yes, and it was a poor ball by Gonzalo Montiel, and he has to hold his head up for that. It's a breakout by Gabriel Jesus. This is the error coming up here by Montiel. He finds Odegaard only, and then the breakout to Jesus. Jesus here now has looks like he has a goal and an assist now. Nice pass to Bukayo Saka, who makes it 2-0 to the Gunners. And you have to say that this could be the end for Forest today. And with Luton winning and Sheffield United picking up points, they are going to be looking over their shoulder now. Certainly nothing Matt Turner could do with that one. But this is something that Nuno did not want.
Yeah, it's been a bad game week this for Nottingham Forest and Nuno Espirito Santo. Arsenal have just been in complete control the whole game. It's just been that lack of clinical finishing, but 2 chances in the second half really, and 2 goals, and that's just a clinical counter-attack. Excellent stuff, brilliant to watch from one end of the pitch to the other, and yeah, this Nottingham Forest demise is carrying on.
Well, there's Nuno Espirito Santo. Sometimes you just have to take your hat off, but it's 2 errors really that has led to those goals. That's what he's going to look at. He's going to look at the error from Turner, and he's going to look at the error by Montiel, and that's where he'll turn to what has otherwise been a fantastic defensive performance by Forest. That's very frustrating for a manager.
Well, I'm sure it must be, because especially one like Nuno Espirito Santo, who was known at Wolves for grinding out 1-0s, 2-1s at home to the so-called bigger sides, doing so with good defensive displays, and it's been a good defensive display from Forest so far, but they just haven't had any outball at all in attack. So at some point, it just always felt like Arsenal were going to break through, and once they got that first goal, they always looked the side that were going to go ahead and get the second.
Well, here's Ben White, and he gives the ball to Saliba. Saliba slips the ball to Declan Rice. As Arsenal move forward now, well on the way to ending this hoodoo at the City Ground. It'll be their first win since 1999 if they hold on. Here's Havertz. He flicks it in to Bukayo Saka, but cleared away there and back into the Arsenal half of the field. And it's Saliba now. Gives the ball to Declan Rice. And at the moment, Arsenal really having Forest chasing shadows, really. And here is Gabriel. To Saliba, back to Gabriel. And Saliba again just plays the ball down to the left-hand side to Zinchenko. But Arsenal will now just contribute to game management to see out the last 15 minutes of this game. In about 15 minutes' time, 10 to 15 minutes' time, Bruno, I'll be asking you for your player of the match. When you've made up your mind, if you want to just pop it in the chat to our producer, and he'll get that all set up for you. You don't have to do that right now. When you're ready, here is Ben White, and here's Martin Odegaard. Odegaard to Ben White again, back to Odegaard. As Forest preparing another substitution, it looks like it might be Anthony Elanga. Of course, Anthony Elanga and Awonyi teamed up for the only goal for Nottingham Forest at the Emirates. I'm quite surprised I haven't seen Elanga already, to be honest. He certainly gives Forest an opportunity of a better outlet. And there is Gabriel, drops it back to Saliba. And Saliba goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, David Raya. And David Raya now will clear it right-footed downfield. And it's tried to be flicked on there by Jesus, but that's really good defending there by Murillo. And here comes Callum Hudson-Odoi. Does he keep the ball in play? The referee says no, and I'll just complete my marketing duties for the evening. You're listening to Alternative Commentary on the Commentary Hub YouTube channel. Today's Player of the Match sponsor on the Hub is sponsored by Commentary Services. Commentary Services would like to thank our broadcasting partner for this season, JB Sports and Storm FM and Focus on Football. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Commentary Live 1, and you can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Commentary Hub. So the ball is played forward here to Kai Havertz. Havertz to Martinelli. Martinelli just trying to get away from Yates here. And he gives the ball down the right-hand side to Bukayo Saka. Saka pulls the ball back to Odegaard. Odegaard with the shot, but it's a distance. usually is far more clinical from those areas, Bruno.
Yeah, and I think it's just really settling that out down now for Arsenal. I mean, it was quite a weak shot from Odegaard. He hasn't had the best of games, really. He hasn't. He's had a couple of nice touches inside the box, but I think it's been the other players for Arsenal that have been good. But he hasn't needed to be really that good today. Just Arsenal as a team have just broken down this Forest side.
Yes, quite right. But substitution is made. Anthony Elanga is on, and Nico Williams is off. That is the third attempt at substitutes by Forest, so I think that will cancel out them now. As another substitution is made by Arsenal, as Leandro Trossard is on, and Gabriel Jesus is off along with Martinelli, and Eddie Nketiah is the other one on. So Nketiah is on along with Leandro Trossard, and Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli are off for the Gunners. But at 2-0, I think Mikel Arteta will be very pleased with the day's work today if things stay the way that they are, Bruno.
Absolutely, and I think in the first half he would have been frustrated, not with the performance, but just the fact that they couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. But this second half, they've probably been as dominant and got 2 goals, and it's been a really professional performance from Arsenal today. They really just haven't allowed Nottingham Forest any side. They've been completely starved of any attacking sort of quality, and it's just been a very good performance on the road for Arsenal.
Free kick taken by Forest very quickly. It's with Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Callum Hudson-Odoi now just drops the ball back here. It's with Danilo, and as if things couldn't get any worse for Nottingham Forest, Luton Town have added the 4th goal to Brighton and Hove Albion. Elijah Adebayo has added another goal, and that is total half-time at Villa Park. Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 2. So this leaves Nottingham Forest in a pretty pickle today, as they are 2-0 down to Arsenal, with Luton winning. So far, Sheffield United drawing. Points are being gained by the bottom team, the teams at the bottom on Nottingham Forest. Everton also have a point so far as well. So the ball is cleared downfield, and it's picked up by Bukayo Saka. Saka just nipping down the right-hand side. Saka drops it back there to Kai Havertz. And Havertz now back to Odegaard. Odegaard just drops it back there. Odegaard played forward to Nketiah. Bunting challenged by Murillo. Fairly, said the referee. Here's Ryan Yates now for Forest. He drops the ball down to the left-hand side to Callum Hudson-Odoi. And back to Yates. Yates now. Let's see if he can get across into Forest. It's back to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi just looking for options available. He finds Gibbs White, beautifully laid off there, and it's now picked up by Harry Toffolo with a cross and blocked out of the air by David Raya, as Arsenal continue to look very, very comfortable at the moment. And here's Kai Havertz. It's 4-on-4 if Arsenal can hurry. It's Trossard now for Arsenal. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Trossard cuts across. Is he going to have a shot here? Oh, he does, Trossard, and it's very close. And, Arsenal come very close to adding a 3rd goal there. Bruno, good effort by Leandro Trossard.
Yeah, quick counter-attack, all started by the goalkeeper, David Raya, and just the substitutes, Havertz and Trossard, linking up nicely. Really good feat from Leandro Trossard, getting past 3 for his defenders, but the shot was just over the crossbar. And now Arsenal, they're going to get chances on the counter-attack in these next sort of 5-10 minutes, and this game could probably end up being a little bit more handsome than what it is already.
Here's Toffolo now for Forest. He gets the cross in there, and just trying to get on the end of that there was Anthony Elanga, but Arsenal do get the ball away. And just to explain the dominance here, Arsenal have had 55 touches in the Nottingham Forest box to Nottingham Forest 4 in the Arsenal box. That is just a clear indication. And there's a good ball by, it was almost a really good ball by Martin Odegaard, almost letting Bukayo Saka in there for a 2nd goal. As Arsenal just never really looked under any threat at any point today, have they? They've just been controlled all the way through.
They have. They've been, Arsenal this season have been much more defensively solid, and today they haven't been troubled whatsoever. Really, a couple of Nottingham Forest counter attacks, but other than that, they've really not been troubled. And for Nottingham Forest, it doesn't get much easier now. I mean, they got a big game away at Bournemouth and then at home to Newcastle and West Ham. And they really need to pick up points because, as we've seen, other results are not going their way so far. Potentially Everton getting the 10 points back, it's going to be a struggle for them.
Yes, they could well find themselves in a real battle come the end of the season. Here's Bukayo Saka now with the corner. There's 8 minutes to go here. And Bruno will be picking his man of the match in about 5 minutes' time. And the corner is going to be taken by Bukayo Saka. Going to swing this one in. And up there goes Matt Turner, and he puts the ball out of the air. Incidentally, that goal by Elijah Adebayo was his hat-trick goal for Luton today. As they absolutely stomped all over Brighton and Hove Albion. That's certainly probably the shock result of the day. Here's Morgan Gibbs-White. Oh, he's dispossessed as Gibbs-White now, and here's Bukayo Saka. And it could be more bad news for Forest here. Martin Odegaard. Just coming across to deal with Odegaard is Toffolo. Good piece of defending by him. Puts the ball behind for a corner again to Arsenal. And at this point now, this is very one-sided. I mean, even when Forest come forward, they don't even look like they're going to score at any point. And Arsenal, this is their 10th corner of the game. The Nottingham Forest won, and the only thing that you would argue for Arsenal is that they really should have scored more goals. The corner is going to come in. It's going to be Bukayo Saka as Ryan Yates just keeping an eye on Kai Havertz. Stalaba is in there as well as is Trossard. It's swung in, and again Matt Turner plucks it out the air. Certainly no problem taking crosses. Ryan Yates now just gives the ball, just plays the ball forward, looking for a Wanyi. There was Anthony Elanga as well. Dispossessed there now, and Arsenal come forward again. And here comes Bukayo Saka now, corner of the penalty area. Saka with a shot, but it's ballooned over the crossbar. Disappointed by Saka. But once again, Arsenal, just every time Forest come forward, they just win the ball back very, very easily. JB Sports says Luton should be chucked out of the Premier League for match fiddling their way out of trouble. Well, JB, I'm sorry, but I don't think a 4-0 victory is match fixing, to be honest.
JB accusing teams around Burnley of cheating? No, surely not. Surely not.
And Morgan Gibbs-White, he gives the ball to Danilo. Gibbs-White, it's a poor ball given to Declan Rice, but Declan Rice was not able to bring it under control, and it goes back to Murillo. And Murillo just drops the ball there back to Ryan Yates, who goes back to Matt Turner. And here's Ryan Yates again. Nottingham Forest building up again. I do wonder at this point, though, whether there's Omar Bamadeli. Just gives the ball back to Murillo. And the ball is played forward now to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Played in field to Awanyi. Awanyi's got Elanga on the far side. Oh, it's a poor ball by Awanyi, and it's picked up now by Leandro Trossard for Forest. And he dropped it back to Zinchenko. And now to Kai Havertz. And I'll be asking if you play with the match in about 2 minutes, Bruno. So if you maybe want to just pop it in the chat for Ross, the producer, and I'll ask you in about 2 minutes. And here is Declan Rice. And it's across there to goal in the Championship. Leicester City 2, Swansea 0. Defi Mavididi, if I pronounced that correctly. I'm sorry if I haven't. And here's Leandro Trossard. He plays the ball across looking for Odegaard, but Murillo just nips in ahead of Odegaard and wins the ball back. And going down there under pressure there is Toffolo, and it is a free kick that he's won. Forest will get a free kick to relieve some of the pressure. And JB's back in again. Stuart Atwell, Luton fan, cheating us at Villa, and that blatant push on Trafford, it will never be forgotten. Well, maybe not forgotten by you, JB. Double substitution coming up for Arsenal. And it's forward to Taiwo Awanyi. And Awanyi there just drops the ball back to Ryan Yates. And Andrew Omar Bamadeli to Danilo. And now with Murillo. Murillo plays the ball forward. Oh, it's a poor ball by Murillo. And comfortably picked up by Kai Havertz. And he drops the ball back there to, that will be Saliba. Saliba gets the ball back now as we are heading towards the twilight minutes here. And in a few moments, I'll be asking Bruno for his player of the match. JB said, on a happy note, great com, lads. Thanks, JB. Always nice to hear from you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Be nice to hear you back in the commentary chair again very soon. And I'm just going to give Ross a chance just to update some information before I do ask you, Bruno, and then we'll talk about your player in the back in about a minute's time here. The ball is played forward now, looking for Nketiah, as Arsenal have got 2 substitutions just waiting to come on there. They'll round up the 5 for the day as Ryan Yates is fouled, and it's going to be a free kick for Nottingham Forest. And here's Toffolo. Toffolo drops the ball back to Danilo. And we'll be getting the player of the match in just a moment. But first of all, it's a long ball forward and headed in there looking for Awoniyi. Awoniyi gets a chance to turn and he scores! And it's a goal back for Nottingham Forest. And just like it was at the Emirates Stadium, Taiwo Awoniyi with a goal late on. 88 minutes gone, and Taiwo comes off the bench to score for Nottingham Forest. As we look at this again, we've got a couple more comments in the chat. We'll get to that in a moment. Yes, it just broke loose. Perhaps an air of fortune for Taiwo Awoniyi. It just bounced off his legs, and but his strength is able to keep himself on his feet and put that in a net. And a goal for Taiwo Awoniyi. And we have 3 comments in the comment section. We'll get Bruno's views in a moment. Media, Radio, Jingles and Gaming says at JB cheating football teams. And he also says good commentary and Forest are back. Thanks very much, Media, Radio, Jingles and Gaming, as they are looking at this, so are VAR. They are looking at this for a potential offside. Now, it's very difficult to say at this angle because we're looking at this at a curved angle, Bruno, but what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think on the initial replay, it looks like he might have gone just ahead of the defender. It's a really tight one. It's one of those, the lines are definitely going to have to be drawn, and maybe a toenail or an armpit might be offside here. But if it stands, it's set up for a very good last few minutes here. I wonder how much injury time is going to be added on.
I think he's onside, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I know
I'm the Arsenal correspondent, but I've got to be neutral, and it's to me, he's onside there. I think that's a perfect good goal.
Yeah.
Producer Ross has just announced that he is hearing there's going to be 5 minutes injury time. Indeed, it is. That has been confirmed. The goal has not yet been confirmed, or I think it has now. Taiwo Awoniyi celebrates. Yes, that goal has been given. And Nottingham Forest have now made this last 5 minutes of injury time very, very exciting. As Taiwo Awoniyi adds his 5th goal of the season for Forest, coming back from injury. And that's a lot of positive news for Nottingham Forest fans. As Arsenal pick up the ball with Leandro Trossard. And the ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in, and Nottingham Forest fans just celebrating there as Gonzalo Montiel just throws the ball, and it goes to Danilo as he plays the ball back to the goalkeeper, and it's cleared downfield, and just nipping in there is Leandro Trossard, but the ball has been given away to Morgan Gibbs-White, and if Arsenal are not careful here, Morgan Gibbs-White, an inspired run breaking out on the far side, and the cross was almost brought in by Anthony Elanga, and they are claiming a corner. And I think that has in fact been given, but just for a moment, Bruno, Arsenal fell asleep there.
I mean, what a sport, eh? You know, Arsenal in complete cruise control. Just one scrappy bit of play has really thrown the cat among the pigeons for Nottingham Forest, and they might go on and get what would be the most unlikely of points here after being completely dominated all game.
Well, we've got 2 double substitution for Arsenal. It's going to be Jakub Kiwior and Jorginho coming on. Odegaard is coming off for the Gunners, and so is Alexander Zinchenko, wrapping up the 5 substitutions for Arsenal as Odegaard and Zinchenko leave the field down the side under the new rules, of course. Leicester City are now 3-0 up against Swansea. Goal by Yunus Akgun. As we've got a comment in the comment section, which I am going to read out in a moment here after this corner is taken. It's swung in by Danilo, heads go up, punched out by Ray. Only as far as gives right for the shot, but it's blocked there by Jakub Kiwiat. And what a chance! Oh, good save by David Raya. Oh my goodness me, that almost gave Nottingham Forest a point. Taiwo Awoniyi making a nuisance of himself in the penalty area one more time. And he just gets on the end of that, but good save by David Raya, Bruno.
It was, and Nottingham Forest, who had done absolutely nothing in terms of an attacking sense for 90 minutes, are just now at the very end. Taiwo Awoniyi, he's made an impact, hasn't he? He scored a goal, he's had a chance there, and he's just a bit of a nuisance in that penalty area. They need to get the ball into him.
And just for a second, the VAR was looking at something going on in the penalty area, and it's being inquired to the fourth official by... this is being looked at now. I think they're looking at potentially a penalty here. No, it's actually not. It just came up for a second there and then stopped. Media, radio and jingles and gaming, as said, at Mike Harnan, looking for a win for Arsenal, but very close to Forest, certainly. For sure, Forest nearly there, just got on the end of an equaliser. And just for a second, Arsenal fell asleep. Russ Vernon said, at JB Sports, why can't you ever give credit to teams fighting against relegation like your side? Luton are not match fiddling, mate.
I can answer that. I can answer that question on behalf of JB, and it's, I think, because he's a football fan. I think we've all been there, around the teams battling with us, the rivals. You always want your team to do well, and at the moment, Burnley looking a bit more like the Derby side of 2006.
Yeah, and he's a passionate Burnley fan as well. I personally give a lot of slack to JB in that respect, because he's a passionate Burnley fan, and he's not like me. I'm not a big Burnley fan. I'm a Burnley fan, but I'm not a big Burnley fan. So when I see them lose, it doesn't affect me quite as much as it affects him. And the ball is played forward there to Eddie Nketiah, and crunching challenge by Murillo. And he just clattered into Bukayo Saka there, and Arsenal are not happy with that one bit. That was a rather unpleasant looking challenge, Bruno.
It was, and it looked like quite an unnecessary one. It's just maybe a bit of Blair's tempering now for Nottingham Forest. They can't get near the ball. They're a goal down, and with Murillo, he just clashes into Nketiah. It was quite high. It was a high jump. But it was fairly innocuous, I would say.
Well, Murillo protesting his innocence. We've played 5 minutes, but I expect we'll do a couple more. Just for some of the stoppages within stoppage time. And the free kick is on the corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Jorginho is standing over this. Also is Trossard. And let's see if the Nottingham Forest wall is a bit better this time. It's short. It's given to Kai Havertz. Takes it to the corner flag. Smart move, really, by Havertz. But Gonzalo Montiel wins the ball. He plays it forward. But it was launched back into the penalty area there. And it's plucked out by Matt Taylor, plays the ball downfield, and headed back into the Arsenal half of the field by Murillo. And Eddie Nketiah tries to bring it down, but it's won back by Gonzalo Montiel. And it's forward by Danilo, looking for the overlapping Harry Toffolo. It's headed out of play by Bukayo Saka, and it's going to be a throw-in now for Nottingham Forest. And here's Hudson-Odoi. Drops the ball back there to Murillo. Back to Hudson-Odoi. Forest searching for an equalising goal. The ball goes out of play, and it's going to be a throw-in for Morgan Gibbs-White. He just drops the ball there and hands it to Harry Toffolo. Toffolo going to go long with a throw-in. Launched into the penalty area. Headed out by Declan Rice. Launched back in again, and up in the air to challenge for that was Elanga, but it goes all the way through to Andrew Omobamidele. He drops the ball back to Gibbs-White, back to Murillo. It's every Forest player in the Arsenal half of the field right now. The ball's launched in by Danilo and headed out this time by William Saliba. And launched back in again. And up in the air goes Saliba again to win that ball. And it's a good ball then picked out by Leandro Trossard. Trossard storming over the halfway line now for Arsenal. He's held up by Morgan Gibbs-White, but Trossard turns really well there. It's the time ticking down now. Surely Simon Hooper will blow soon. And the ball is now with Ben White. He's just holding the ball up, not rushing. This is good work, and that is full time. And at the City Ground, a goal by by Gabriel Jesus on 65 minutes from an error from Matt Turner. Doubled by Bukayo Saka on 71 minutes from a poor giveaway by Gonzalo Montiel. The substitute Tyrone Wanyi gets Nottingham Forest back in the game. But it's full time here, and it's Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 2. Arsenal win the vital 3 points in this one. And Bruno, let's have your full-time assessment on this one before we go back to Ross.
Well, I think it was a completely deserved victory in the end for Arsenal, but just towards the end, it was a little bit of squeaky bum time, really, because they're in complete cruise control and they just give away a really sloppy goal to Nottingham Forest. And in the end, it was the scoreline is closer than the game would suggest. Arsenal were absolutely cruising, really, 2-0 up. Should have been and could have been a lot more. And Nottingham Forest with a couple of chances at the end, trying to make it scruffy, trying to really smash and grab a point from there. But a complete deserved victory for Arsenal. And a very impressive performance on the road. This wasn't an easy game for them on paper. And they came here and they set down a marker.
It certainly was a very professional performance by Arsenal, and their first victory at the City Ground since 1999. They can put that hoodoo to bed now, and a vital game coming up against Liverpool on Sunday, which you can hear on the commentary hub. A victory so desperately needed against the Reds on Sunday if Arsenal are going to close the gap even further on Liverpool. But it's full time at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 2. Back to you, Ross.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Bruno. Excellent work from both of these teams, from both of our commentary team. Again, as always, latest scores around up and down the country. There's been a third goal at the Villa Park. Is Aston Villa 0, Newcastle United 3. Alex Moreno with an own goal on 53 minutes, and after put it into his own net after a cross from Miguel Almiron from the left-hand side, he collided with the post, but Jacob Murphy was on hand of the back post to try, and he put it back across and was put in by Moreno into his own net to make it 3-0 to Newcastle. He's had to go off after receiving some treatment as Moreno so Villa down to 10 men currently for about 30 seconds or so. It is currently at Selhurst Park. Some better news for Burnley. Crystal Palace 3, Sheffield United 2. Michael Elise on 67 minutes with the goal there in that game in the Premier League. Elsewhere is Luton Town 4, Brighton Hove Albion 0. As I've just mentioned about the goal at Selhurst Park to make it 3-2 to Crystal Palace against Sheffield United. Is still Fulham 0, Everton 0. As I mentioned, Newcastle 3-0 now away at Aston Villa. In the Championship, there's been another goal at the CBS Arena. Is now Coventry City 1, Bristol City 2, Naki Wells on 83 minutes. The goal there, it is still, there's played around about 85, maybe just a bit over 86 minutes or so gone in the game at the King Power Stadium, and is now Leicester City 3, Swansea 0 in League 1 with 10 minutes to go. It's Oxford United 1, Portsmouth 1. 89 minutes in League 2, Sutton 1, Harrogate 2. In the game between Solihull Moors and Nottingham Redbridge in the National League, 5 minutes to go in that one. Currently Solihull Moors 1, Nottingham Redbridge 0. Wealdstone 3, Aldershot 2 is the other score in the National League on 87 minutes. Some full-time scores in the EFL Trophy to tell you about. Finished Blackpool 0, Bolton 0. On penalties, it was Blackpool 5, Bolton 4 in the penalty shootout. Doncaster 1, Bradford 1, Doncaster 0. Bradford finished the game with 10 men. Andy Cook sent off for second yellow card in that game. Peterborough 3, AFC Wimbledon 1. Scottish Premiership latest scores is Aberdeen 1, Dundee 1. Livingston 1, Ross County 2. There could be a goal. Yes, it doesn't say that. It's Livingston 2, Ross County 2. Livingston just equalised there. In Scottish League 2 is East 5-0, Spartans 3, Elgin 2, Clyde 1. And then the Scottish Cup is Borough Rangers 1, Cove Rangers 1 as well. Just a big shout out to Chelsea women in the Women's Champions League tonight. They beat Paris FC by 4-0 in the final group stage match of the Women's Champions League to finish top of their group and qualify for the next round of the Women's Champions League. Aachen finished second in their group after they surprisingly beat Real Madrid by a goal to nil. Real Madrid finished bottom in that 5-1 draw. Paris FC finished third in the Women's Champions League group, which also featured Chelsea there. Other scores in the Women's Champions League: 74 minutes scoring is Ajax 1, AS Roma 1, and Bayern 1, PSG 1 as well in the Women's Champions League to tell you about. Just a quick goal update to give you in the Championship. What about this for a game? Coventry City 2, Bristol City 2. Coventry have just equalised in the 85th minute. We'll get confirmation of the goal scorer very shortly for you. Ellis Sims with the goal there. Portsmouth back in front against Oxford. Now in front against Oxford, should I say. Callum Lang on his Portsmouth debut. 10 minutes from time. It's made it Oxford 1, Portsmouth 2 there in their game as well. Just before we do wrap up in HP. And what I'll do, I'll just fetch Bruno in a moment. We didn't get a chance to hear your play of the match while the game was being going off because there was a lot towards the end of the game, Bruno. But do you want to just give the listeners your player of the match and the reason why you gave the player your player of the match this evening for us, my friend?
Well, I made the pick before Nottingham Forest had got back into the game, and for me it was Gabriel Jesus. He was a bit of a frustrating figure in the first half, and he can be a frustrating figure, certainly, when he's not involved with the goals. But he got a goal, he got an assist, his build-up play was nice, and he was probably the main part of why Arsenal won tonight.
Just while you're there, Bruno, obviously Mikel Arteta will be happy with the two managers with the performance and getting probably majority of the performance, but getting through that game with a victory. How would you see Nuno Espirito Santo think about that game, Bruno, after just narrowly losing to Arsenal tonight?
Well, he'll be disappointed. He won't be too disheartened, though. I think his side gave a very good defensive display, but at the same time, he needs points. That's all that matter really for Nottingham Forest. They're in a relegation battle. You don't win anything for playing well, and Nottingham Forest were outclassed today. There's no doubt about it. Arsenal were by far the superior side, and something has to change really for Nottingham Forest because attacking wise, until the last sort of 5 minutes, they looked very sheepish.
They did indeed, Bruno. They did indeed. Just to keep you quickly updated, coming towards the end of the match at Craven Cottage is still Fulham 0, Everton 0 there. Still playing at Luton as well, whereas Luton 4, Brighton 0. 74 minutes gone, it's Crystal Palace 3, Sheffield United 2. 60 minutes gone, Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 3 with Aston Villa about to make a double change here, it looks like. Which was Zaniolo coming on and Leon Bailey to try and help Aston Villa get parity in this game if they can from somewhere. Into stoppage time in the championship game of the King Power Stadium, Leicester 3, Swansea City 0 is the scoreline there. It is 2-2 between Coventry and Bristol City, about to go into stoppage time there. And Aston Villa just as trying to come in, rounded the goalkeeper well there, did Diaby. Had a shot cleared off the line. Brilliant effort from Aston Villa, almost getting one back in. They've just won themselves a corner in that game at Villa Park this evening. Just one final one before we do wrap up to you this time, Paul. And with you being the Arsenal correspondent, looking at that game from Mikel Arteta's point of view, I said you'd probably be happy with the majority of the performance, but how they managed to see it out after that late tower a 1-year goal for Nottingham Forest. What do you think would have pleased Arteta the most about that performance and that victory tonight at the City Ground?
The work ethic. They were really good at picking up and winning the loose balls. This was the difference why Arsenal had so much of the ball. The loose balls that Nottingham Forest were giving away from their defending were being picked up by Arsenal, and they were quicker to the ball. They were more efficient with the ball. Defensively, when Arsenal did have to defend, they were a lot calmer in those situations, turning defence into attack quicker, which is something that Nottingham Forest didn't do by any stretch of the imagination, and really didn't look at all, in my opinion, like real threat at all. Even right up to the 1-year goal, there was an element of fortune about a 1-year goal as well. And I don't want to take anything away from him because he's, as I said in the broadcast, he really is the complete package. He's strong, he's quick, he's fast, he's good in front of goal. And but the ball just bounced off the inside of his leg and could have gone anywhere, but it fell nicely for him. And he took the ball away from David Raya into the net. But it's for me, I think if I was Mikel Arteta, I'd be really impressed with Arsenal's work ethic today.
Yes, absolutely. Just a quick one, got some comments here from Media, Radio, Jingles and Gaming News says, our Luton getting better. They never thought Luton would be this good in the Premier League this evening. So thank you very much for your comments tonight. We do appreciate that. Into stoppage time still at Craven Cottage, where it's Fulham 0, Everton 0. There's 6 minutes of stoppage time and they played 4.5 minutes in that game. We won't be able to bring you the full-time score from that game there. Solihull Moors now being drawn level against Nottingham Redbridge. Dion Pereira in the 89th minute with the goal there. Bayern Munich back into the league against PSG in the Women's Champions League. 2-1 there with around about 15 or so minutes left to play. East Fife have lost by 3-0 to Spartans. And Elgin City have won 2-1 against Clyde in the Scottish division this evening. That was in the Scottish League 2. Into stoppage time at the end of the games in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen 1, Dundee 1, and Livingston 2, Ross County 2 is still the latest scores there to tell you about. Wealdstone 3, Aldershot 3 now. Kwame Thomas in the 91st minute with the third goal for Aldershot. What a game that has been this evening in the National League. We're into stoppage time where there's 6 minutes of stoppage time at the King Power Stadium. Livingston 2-2 with Ross County. That has just been confirmed as a full-time score. There's been a goal back in the King Power Stadium. It's now Leicester City 3, Swansea 1 just before the full-time whistle goes in that one. We'll try and get the result of the goal scorer and confirmation of the goal scorer very shortly from the game of the King Power before we finish in a couple of minutes' time. We'll finish Joe Allen with the goal in the 95th minute. Wilson now down to 10 men. Mason Barrett sent off in the 94th minute in that game there. So a big thank you to Paul and big thank you to Bruno for their excellent coverage as always this evening on the commentary for the Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. We really do appreciate every single one of our people tuning in and listening this evening. So a big thank you for that. Make sure you tune in to our Twitter feed, the Commentary Live one, where we'll announce our next live offering on the Commentary Hub 2, JB Sports, Storm FM, Focus on Football for a live commentary. But you can tune in on Focus on Football tomorrow, where there's going to be a special Premier League watch along for 3 live matches that are being played tomorrow. I'll tell you which games we've got for you tomorrow evening, so you can keep a check on. We've got Liverpool against Chelsea, Tottenham against Brentford, and Man City against Burnley. Luke Turton will be on that one. I'll be on that one as well. Plus another person as well. We'll make sure you keep a check for that one there. Video Radio Jingles and Gaming says, how can Luton beat Everton? when they did it in the FA Cup. And yeah, Luton did well in the FA, did well there, and they're doing well tonight in the Premier League as well. 4-0 up in stoppage time at the end of that one. Oxford, just before we finish, have just equalised against Portsmouth. It just got into stoppage time there. Oxford United 2, Portsmouth 2 is the score. Full time at Craven Cottage, Fulham 0, Everton 0. If you want to check out the other scores, check them out where you normally check out your scores, because that's all we have got time for here on the Comment Shop. Big thanks to you for tuning in. Big thanks to those who have listened. Big thanks to Paul and Bruno for excellent coverage tonight. From all the team here, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Goodbye for